Fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Fuck it while I'm here, fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Tell that bitch to back up, K Michelle. I don't think that she gon' take it well. Couple thousand that I'm in sales. Remember when I stayed up in the hell? Broken shit, the money made it hell. Rolling on the hater, can't you tell? Pussy nigga probably break a nail. Fuck all what they say, it's AK. Bitches east side, told them it's okay. On delay, nigga we slide. I was with the gang just today. Homie we fine, fuck it. He don't want the smoke, throwing peace signs. Fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Tell that bitch to back up, K Michelle. I don't think that she gon' take it well. I don't think that she gon' take it well. You don't wanna help, go fuck yourself. Yeah, that's right. Champion belt on the shelf. Yeah, that's right. Only sold his soul for the wealth. What a price. If I'm feeling down, I hit cows. We a family, nigga. I been at my dad's tryna help. I'm a family, nigga. How you gon' fend for yourself? I'm my pantry, nigga. I don't got a Jag in a lot or a Camry, nigga. Learn to make moves by yourself when you abandoned, nigga. I been sipping liquor, guarantee I got a damaged liver. Take your picture, no coincidence. It's with a cannon, nigga. Diamonds on your chain when they be hitting, you be standing different. In the club, like it's gon' be a rough night. Phone on the charger, I done hit the plug twice. Ran out of blunts, puffin' till the sunlight. Shot after shot, the bar like a gunfight. If I could be Escobar for one night. Fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Tell that bitch to back up, K Michelle. I don't think that she gon' take it well. Couple thousand that I'm in sales. Remember when I stayed up in the hell? Broken shit, the money made it hell. Rolling on the hater, can't you tell? Pussy nigga probably break a nail. Fuck all what they say, it's AK. Bitches east side, told them it's okay. On delay, nigga we slide. I was with the gang just today. Homie we fine, fuck it. He don't want the smoke, throwing peace signs. Working every day, bitch, I'm deserving of the pay. Don't even serve me if you late, bitch, you ain't worthy of this cake. Little bitch, I'm worthy with the play to hang my jersey in LA. I treat it perfect if I made now niggas surfing on my wave. Told my city, if you with me, got your back. And if you really with me, let me get a smack. Told my city, if you with me, got your back. And if you really with me, let me get a smack.
Yo, 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 welcome to the special episode of the Cypher, our 10th episode. This is our first competition episode. This week we received over 40 submissions to our first cast competition, so we have a ton of local music to discuss. We also have a really important topic to discuss before we jump into all of that. But before we get into anything, let me introduce my two co-hosts every week. I'm joined by two great guys, two dope upstate artists, Sheridan Crane and Anthony Cannon. How you guys doing this week?
What's poppin'? It's been a good week, super busy. K Michelle just dropped on all platforms. I got my home studio set up today. For the first time, I'm recording at my crib, so it's a great feeling. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty well. I'm finally back home, feeling good. It's been good to see people, good to see friends. I'm excited this weekend. I think I'm gonna link with them. So I have stuff planned. I came home to relax, and I've kind of been busy since I got back, which is a good thing. So I'm excited to do this episode because it was a lot of submissions, and it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be dumb fun. It's the 10th episode. This is something that we weren't sure how it was gonna go when we first started. This is something that we did to combat the COVID-19 shutdowns. Make ourselves more noticeable. Andrew is the mastermind behind all this. And thanks to you guys tuning in, all the artists, all the supporters, we were able to go all the way to 10 episodes and do stuff like this. So I'm very excited for today. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, this was really exciting, and it was dope to get an actual competition going for this episode. It was something we kind of came out of last week's episode thinking that we should do something special for this episode, didn't know exactly what to do. So we quickly threw together a competition, got a dope graphic for it. Like, this was a sweet episode that all kind of came together within the span of a week. We didn't have this planned out too far in advance. It might have been a little bit more efficient had we, but it still came out really dope. We had so many awesome entries. Heard from a lot of great artists. There were a couple artists I'm surprised we didn't hear from, but that's okay if we.
There's so many artists that I'm disappointed that we didn't hear from. But to be honest, we would have fucked around and had almost 100 submissions. Like,
Absolutely, and that's how I felt. I was like, damn, we already have so many, but there's still so many notable names I think that we're missing. Which, like I said, it's not an issue because as long as we keep this thing going, I don't see the Cypher stopping anytime soon. We get to 20 episodes, we'll be at it again. I tracked that out. That's going to be early August, so we'll be doing this again. This is hopefully something that we'll be able to continue for a while now. So it's really dope, and this is going to be a really sweet episode. Before we do get into all of the cool stuff, I feel like we would be remiss to say that we talk about the culture or music or even just hip hop culture or anything to avoid what's going on in the world within Minneapolis. Everybody's seen the riots. It's probably been filling your timeline. You probably have an emotional standpoint on it either way. I don't want to get too super political about it, but I do want to discuss it, probably just discuss like our own interactions with the police and how we feel. We all have very different perspectives too. We all come from different backgrounds, like we're all different races. So I think we have a different way of thinking that we can get an interesting conversation going here before we talk about the music. So I hope people don't mind. I hope this doesn't turn a lot of people off, but because I think this is an important conversation that should be had on all platforms, really. So which one of you guys want to start?
I'll just say this real quick. My father is a 60-year-old black man that lived in the southern parts and north in New York during real segregation and racism. You feel me? Like he lived through this shit. And this is one of the first situations I've seen during his lifetime that he just wanted to cry. What he told me was black men are inherently strong because of what they've gone through over history. They're naturally just strong beings. And to see a black man on the ground knowing he's about to die, crying, and he's a grown man, and the last words he had were calling out for his mother. The type of pain that you have to be in to just subconsciously call for your mother like she's about to save you. It's something that sat with me. That's not necessarily the riots, but I segue that into saying the riots, the protests, they're just the literal and metaphorical representation of pain. It's just the result of the pain that people are feeling, the anger. People are confused. They don't know what's going on or why. A lot of people are just jumping on the bandwagon or fucking shit up. Normally, I'm against all anarchy. I'm against that type of shit. But some shit's got to change. I'm not saying they're right, but I totally understand why they're doing what they're doing. And I'm praying for Minneapolis. I'm praying for them, and you guys should too.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's one of those. I'm usually able to watch the videos, and I'm usually, as awful as they are, I'm usually able to at least process them. Seeing the picture of this situation was enough for me. I couldn't watch the video. I've read what he said. It makes me sick. I can't. It would physically ruin my week to watch that video. So I just made the decision not to. I'm disgusted and saddened, and there's a lot of things I could say, but I'm going to keep it short. I am an anarchist, and I think this stuff is not necessary. I think this is peaceful protest is important, and I think it should be continued, but sometimes it's not enough. And in this case, it's clearly not enough. So if taking down corporations and looting and all that stuff, if you don't like that, then don't like it. But it's what they feel like they have to do. And it's something that I would probably feel like I had to do if I were in their shoes. So I mean, I'm white, and I've been illegally arrested 2 times. The second time I was dealt with very brutally. and I'm white. If I wasn't, who knows what would have happened. So I think that uh, it's deeper than a lot of people understand. The justice system in general is just really messed up from the top down. It's not just cops. It's the courts. It's everything. So it's something that we need to. I think we need to tear down and rebuild.
So to piggyback off of what you just said, shout out Chirp. He's a rapper in Elmira, one of the OGs out here. He posted a really thought-provoking status the other day. Homie said the riots and protests are cool. You feel me? Like they're not the worst that could possibly happen. But if you really want to fuck shit up, raise the children, your black children, to be members in the legislation, to be police officers, to be judges, to be lawyers. Because until you internally get into the system and have your own say and can manipulate it by actually participating in it, then I highly doubt it's ever going to change. I thought that was a really polarizing view from Chirp in a mature statement.
Yeah, and I think
I think I agree. Go ahead.
To a certain extent, I agree. To a certain extent, it's not the solution, but it is
yeah.
It would be beneficial.
I guess I agree in pretty much every other profession other than police officers. I think that we need to kind of, and I know this is more of like a long-term solution, but I think we need a whole different look at how we have a citizen protection organization and not really a policing organization. I think protecting citizens is more important than enforcing laws upon them. I think it should be looked at differently.
I think the only way we ever get rid of cops is if we have robot cops, and nobody wants fucking robot cops.
definitely not.
Well, no, I'm not saying get rid of cops. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need a different type of cop per se that isn't necessarily a cop, but someone, like I say, a citizen protector. We have a citizen protection force that is out there to keep people safe and make sure order is being kept, but not to the point where they're enforcing meaningless laws, keeping quotas and bullshit like that.
So Ryan just commented and said, shout out Ryan. He submitted a track to the contest. He commented and says, I don't want to chastise, but they're destroying their own community. Some companies may not return. The precinct, blow it up, but Target, leave them alone. And I understand that view. You feel me? I really do.
The thing about it, and like for me, I kind of was like Sheridan in a way. Like I would say it's almost kind of selfish of me. When I first heard about this, I kind of just scrolled by it and didn't want to engulf myself in that. And then fortunately, people did, because it became national news and got the attention it needed. Because if everyone had been like me and sort of been like, I'm just so sick of watching these videos or seeing this stuff, it might have just got swept under the rug the way it has been for numerous years. And so because of that, so eventually I ended up skimming through the video to get the gist of what was going on and was immediately disgusted like everyone else. And then you see the riots that come after it. And for me, it's tough because like I can't say much. I don't know literally what the community in Minneapolis is like. Like it's very easy to judge as any race from the outside looking in and say, well, police are great where I live, because like where I live, I might not feel too worried about being pulled over by the police, but I still feel worried because of everything that goes on. So where I'm at, I can understand people saying, man, the cops are just fine, like, because this type of stuff doesn't happen here. But in Minneapolis, it apparently has happened numerous times. So at some point, something's got to give. And it's happened numerous times throughout the United States. So when Sheridan says if he were faced with this same situation at home, he would probably be out there rioting too. I feel the same type of sentiment. I said the same thing to my girlfriend yesterday. I was like, if this were to happen around here, I would feel the same way, because you have to stand up for what you believe in, no matter what your thought process is. So it's tough.
I don't mean to
go ahead.
I don't mean to go on a rant about Target, but I'm not gonna even say what it is, but if you look up, they're not a very nice corporation. They don't donate to good causes.
Their ideologies, who they support, where they fund their money. I know what you're talking about, and y'all can look that up on your own if y'all want. But he's telling the truth. But that's the same with a lot of corporations. So I can't target.
Fuck Walmart too.
I can't really target out specifically, but you're absolutely right about that. And change starts from within.
Yeah.
I think you have a lot of people piggybacking that don't give a fuck about the cause, that just want to destroy shit. But I think
that's stupid.
and exactly. But I also think that there's a lot of people out there fucking shit up with a purpose and trying to make a specific message with the destruction that they're causing. So like I said, I feel conflicted about it. I'm praying for Minnesota or Minneapolis, not Minnesota. And I'm hoping some happens over there. They can get some peace.
It's hard for me too, because I just can't blame them after hearing about the countless different murders by police to minority men in general in that area. It's like something does have to give. At what point do you stop saying a peaceful protest is enough, or a cop just being fired is enough? Because countless cops have either not been fired or been fired and then not had any criminal action taken against them. So eventually something's got to give, and that's where this happens, especially when the police officers aren't arrested immediately to be dealt with for this situation. So I can't blame the people in Minneapolis for doing what they're doing. And it's even hard for me to say that there's people piggybacking on this just to destroy shit, because of course, but still those same people have dealt with the bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, just because, like, they might not have a real diehard civil rights attitude, but they might have dealt with so much with shit too, and just so they're piggybacking on it technically because they're not out there really protesting or whatever, but they've dealt with the shit. You know, it's hard to say. I mean, most minorities do, and that's been that's a big reason I wanted to talk about it on here, is because, like I said, being pulled over as a minority, you have a really strange feeling, like you, especially as these things become more prominent in the news and nothing is done about it. You constantly have this worst feeling, and it's something I told my girlfriend yesterday. I was like, this has been a bit, and I don't want to get too political with it, but it's been a bigger thing since Trump's come into office, where it's like it seems to be more common and less punishment. So it's difficult.
Yeah.
Bro, like, to put this short and sweet, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, like, when you bring in race with the police, like, just for an example, like, I know white people that get pulled over and are worried that they're going to call their dad or that their parents are going to find out. You feel me? Like, me and my niggas get pulled over. We're worried that we're about to die. You feel me? We're worried that they're not going to understand or we're not going to be able to communicate properly. It's a completely different ball game. And until you realize how disproportionate it truly is, and even if it's just perspective, even if it's just internal subconscious, how you view things, that type of shit is important in understanding. You feel me? Like, it's a completely different ball game.
Well, and that's a point. You bring up a really good point. Like you said, we don't want to spend too much longer on this, but you bring up a good point in just the fact of being able to communicate with the police. Like, that's a whole other topic. Like, some people just they don't have that attitude or that thought process or whatever, because you do kind of have to be trained in a way to speak to police. Like, I feel like I can talk to police in a decent enough way where I'm really not too worried. But at the same time, like, if I say the wrong thing and then or if I'm having a bad day, like, God forbid, I'm just having a bad day and I'm catching an attitude, then it can immediately turn right. And that's really what happens in a lot of these situations. People are having a bad day, they start catching attitude with the police, and the police have this expectation for you to be one type of person. And if you're not behaving that way, then they'll do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and a lot of people, minorities, like, and even white people sometimes, like, they talk with slang.
Yep.
Formally, like it's how they actually speak. Maybe they know how to talk regularly or formally, but that's how they choose to speak in slang. And when you talk in slang to police, they get really agitated. They get really, really agitated. They don't like it. There's a lot, and when you stereotypes, preordained perceptions that they already have because racism is so deeply rooted in history. People don't take those kind of things into account.
What you're fucking wearing. It's what you're wearing sometimes, bro.
It's all perception. Like, and it's sad. We're gonna beat a dead horse if we keep talking about this, though. I feel like.
Yeah, let's switch up.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely good that we talked about it, and we do just have to say, as we transition off the topic, rest in peace to George Floyd. Like,
Yeah,
hopefully they continue to
that's
find justice. Like
easy.
I said, one officer arrested, but that's not enough. They got to do more than that. Uh, but moving on, getting on to a much more lighthearted discussion, a much more fun discussion for everyone listening and everyone involved. This is why everyone is tuned in. Our first competition episode. We're going to get to a point where we play. It's supposed to be the top 8. We couldn't narrow it down to 8, so we got a top 10. So we're gonna play our top 10 at that point. We're going to gauge the comments during the song. So when a song's playing, make sure you're dropping emojis that you like it, that you're fucking with it, so that way we can sort of throw that in the bag as like sort of like a vote. And then at the end, we're gonna ask which song you thought was the best, and we're gonna need you to comment one song name. You're gonna comment it, keep commenting it, and that'll sort of also count as a vote. We already kind of have our idea of what the top 3 is going to be, but it's definitely gonna come from the help of the comments, because there's probably a couple that could easily slide up in there, and we also still kind of have to figure out the top 1 and 2 in a way. So this can help with all of those things. Before we get into that, we're just going to talk generally about the contest. Is there any specific topics either of you want to go to first? You just want to talk about the ones that we almost made the top 10, the ones that we really didn't like? Just
First, I just want to shout out everybody that participated. You feel me? It takes some sort of confidence to send in a track for it to get critiqued live. Some people might like it, some people might hate it, some people might love it. And we felt all those emotions while listening to your guys' tracks. I just want to, I think that the diversity of tracks, from different genres, different sounds, just a lot of different styles. That's what
We had so many different genres.
Yeah, there's so many different genres, so many different subgenres of rap. There was old school shit, there was modern shit, there was drill shit, there was everything. So shout out you guys, because we had a lot to choose from.
Yeah, I agree. And there are some that I think on another podcast they would have done better, just because we're doing a lot of hip hop stuff. It makes more sense to have hip hop, but we even slid ones in there that weren't hip hop. But I think that even if you don't make this top 8 or top 10, that doesn't mean we didn't like your track. Doesn't mean we thought it was bad. It just means that we had that many good submissions, that it was really hard to pick. We definitely had debates over what we would put in there, and that's why we ended up switching to the top 10 and the top 8, because we could not agree. But in general, I think the large majority of the tracks showed a lot of promise for upstate, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah, for sure. And just for anybody listening, if you submitted a track, it was especially hard to choose, because if some of the engineering was stand out from the other, you feel me? Some people would have an amazing track, but the mix wasn't very good. And a lot of people would have a good track, but the mix was amazing, you feel me? So it weighs differently. We were preferential to the tracks with professional sounding mixes. I feel like it was unfair to the artists that are getting it to the highest standard that it could be, to leave them out. So if you didn't make it, it might not even be that your song wasn't better than somebody in the top 10s. It might have been just that you need a better engineer, or you need to go to a different studio, you feel me? So I want you guys to take that into account when we go through these rankings.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize the fact, like, 40 plus tracks is a good amount of tracks. We had a lot to go through. We're going to try and talk about some of the ones that stood out to us that might not have made the top 10 and all that. But don't be offended if we don't discuss your track at all. We do appreciate, and literally all 3 of us listened to every track front to back. Gave it our best.
Wrote notes.
Yeah, wrote pretty detailed notes, actually. We had a whole spreadsheet for it. And if you're interested in just your individual notes, hit us up and we'll send them to you on what we thought of your track, because we have absolutely no problem doing that. And like I said, 40 tracks is a lot. We had to narrow it down to 10 to play on the episode so we could get your guys' opinion on them. but we appreciate everybody who went through the effort of putting them in. Like Anthony said, at some points it came down to the mix. For me, at some points it came down to just like the professionalism of submitting the track, I guess, in a way. Like, because the top 5 or so were so good that at a point I had to be like, well, this person submitted a track that was totally finished. This person submitted a track that for some reason there was a minute and a half of just nothing or an empty beat or something like that. And at that point you had to rank it differently because of that. But what were some that we didn't actually pick for the top 10, I guess, that you guys think stood out that we should talk about, either for just it being totally different, something that you really enjoyed, but we all might not have agreed on it being in the top 10?
The first one that stands out to me was Dez's track. I'm not sure if it's a release song or if he sends us something unreleased, but for the guys tuning in that haven't checked it out, it was some screamo combined with some like punkish hip hop tones. It was really dope. And I had it scored higher than some. I had it in my top 8 or 10. I don't think that we agreed on it, and I understand why. It really wasn't fit for this show particularly, especially with the competition that he had. Some tracks just made more sense, but as a standout song from a different genre and just one that I enjoyed listening to and was surprised by, I want to shout out Dez because that was really dope.
Yeah, that was
I really
Breakaway
like
by
the
Dez.
verse on that. Yeah, I really like the verse on that. I wasn't a huge. I actually I do like screaming. Just for some reason on that one, it wasn't hitting for me. But the verse I thought was really like emotional, and that was a track that I did definitely enjoy. It just didn't make my top 10. The one that stood out to me, even though I didn't actually put it in my top 10, was the John Kavanaugh track. It's all right, just you are. It was completely different than anything else that was submitted. It was kind of like a folk, reminded me of like Bob Dylan type of track. I thought there were some really like profound lyrics in there, and I thought probably what held it back the most was that the guitar sounded pretty quiet into the mix. I really liked the riffs, but it just sounded quiet in the mix, and I think that he also could have had his flow. I don't know if I would use flow for that type of music, but like
you're off.
He was a little like out of. Yeah, he was a little offbeat.
Whenever you're offbeat, it comes down to your flow and your delivery. You feel me? That's how.
Yeah, and he trailed off on like some notes and stuff, but in general, I thought he had a really good voice. And from him because I think he's a talented dude.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't feel like I clearly wasn't his target audience, but even from trying to just look at it from an objective music standpoint, he lost me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like the guitar was, I could vibe with the guitar. I didn't love the singing. Some of the lyrics didn't resonate with me at all. Some of them really stood out to me, which made me wonder, like, why isn't he doing this for the whole song? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was offbeat, like you said, but I saw so many hints of things that showed potential. You feel me? It wasn't a track for me. It was one of my least favorite personally, but I fucked with him.
Yeah, jumping back to the Dez track real quick, that one actually, it was probably one of my least favorite just because I'm really not into the whole screaming thing. It's something that really doesn't hit well for me at all. But I could appreciate the art of it and like the fact that it takes some type of guts or whatever to send in that type of track to just like a hip hop podcast. So I thought it was interesting track, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorite just because of that point. Like it's just, and that should be expected. I think people who make that kind of music know that it's for a specific crowd and they're not going to please everyone, and that's expected. But that's still dope. I thought it was dope. The John Kavanaugh track, I thought that one was really interesting. I liked it a lot, the sounds at least, but I didn't like the lyrics, I guess I should say. I thought I liked his voice. I liked the guitar. It was very, like you said, Bob Dylan, or it was kind of reminded me of like Mumford and Sons type stuff. But the lyrics and like you guys said, he was offbeat. It just wasn't really hitting for me. It kind of just like I was like, this sounds great, but I don't understand what you're talking about, and I don't know if I like that. Like, but it was an okay track, and like I appreciated again someone else from a kind of different genre
Yeah.
submitting a track to something
Yeah.
like he has no idea that I'm a big fan of like Mumford and Sons type music. So that like it for me when it first started, I was like, okay, this could be dope. And when I heard his voice, I was like, okay, this could be dope. But like I said, it wasn't for me in terms of the lyrics, but I thought it was dope.
Yo,
Yeah, I thought like some of the metaphors were super profound that he was throwing in there, but I do agree that some of them didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But in general, I thought that they showed promise. I liked them more than I didn't like them.
I hear you. I got my notes pulled up right here just for reference. I'm about to list off a couple tracks that I fucked with, but didn't make my personal cut. You feel me?
Mhm.
Niati. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He had a real energetic track. It was kind of satirical, whimsical, funny. It wasn't supposed to be the most serious, but I really liked his flow and his energy. And some of the lyrics were kind of witty. I fucked with it. Let's see. Ryan Benji's that I thought it's the first song I heard from him in a little bit. I thought the hook really stood out to me. I couldn't get too into the verses, just from a personal standpoint. You feel me? But I saw where he was going with it. Two different dudes, they both did their thing. Just wasn't for me. Chronics. Chronics was dope, and if I remember correctly, he did some drill shit, right?
Yeah,
Chronics,
it was actually fire.
Chronics, if you're listening right now, you're one that might have made my cut, bro, but your mix wasn't there. The quality of the song didn't match what you were actually doing because you went ham on that. I'm not sure if that's an engineer problem or what, but keep doing your thing because that was really dope.
I think he works. I think he works with the same dude as Don.
John Pablo? John Pablo?
We got Sheridan cutting out, but let's go ahead and just keep it pushing with that list. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sheridan's back. Let's keep it pushing with your list though, Ant.
Oh, I got you. Notice Baller went ham. You feel me? He did more of like a slow John. I like him better when he's rapping on some fast paced shit. I liked his shit. T Maco went ham too.
Yo, I really liked his track. Like from him, as in terms of like, I was like, this is definitely because the idea of this is it was send us your best track. I felt like some people sent us their most recent track or whatever they just finished. This genuinely sounded like his best track, and even though it didn't make the top 10, I was like, there's a lot of growth here.
Easy, bro, and it was one of the best mixes he ever had. I still thought the auto tune was a little too strong. But he was emotional. He had good energy. He flowed. I was a big fan of the T Maco track.
Me too. I like that a lot. It was in my top 10 actually.
There was more, and I could keep listening. But I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna give it away. Who is at least in my top 10 if I just keep going on and on. And like Andrew said earlier, I got deep analyzed notes a little bit for every single track. If you guys would like to hear what we thought and you didn't hear us talk about it on the show, just hit me up and we'll send it.
Yeah, and one that I feel like we absolutely have to talk about. It was one that I think just barely missed the cut in terms of being the top 10. It was one that Sheridan himself said he was surprised that it didn't make the top 10 because the top 10, like figuring it out who we were going to play on this show was almost more difficult than figuring out who our top 3 would be because there were so many that were so close to being like what we thought would make the cut. This one, Ty Esco, he had a track Bright that by him was absolutely a different sound, at least for me, from what I've heard from him. and I really, really, really liked it. Like, it was way different.
Yeah, me
It
too.
was really dope, and it showed a lot of. We talk about it a lot, but it showed a lot of growth for him. Like, I'm excited. I don't think that's released. I'm excited for him to be able to release that because people are going to hear something. I had no idea he could do that.
So
Yeah, it was in my top 10 for sure.
how we broke this down and came up with it was we were in a group chat and we each came up with our top 15. You feel me? And we decided from our top 15 based off which matched with each other, who do we all have on the list, who does only one of us have on the list, blah blah blah. Ty Esco was somebody that we all had, I think in the top 12 to 15, right? I'm not mistaken for
Yeah,
that.
facts. That's
Yeah,
100%.
he
He,
was
like I
my
said, he was
10th.
just barely in terms of like it, like, and I don't even know. It could have been a situation where because I kind of listened to his before a lot of them, so I don't know if we had more time to sit on it. I don't know, but it was a really dope track. And like I said, getting down to that final 10 was difficult. So,
To
yeah,
me,
go
there
ahead.
was there was high points in the song. There was parts that I didn't feel fully engaged, and there was like just highs and lows for the song.
Yeah.
But overall, it was really dope, and I think it was a better display than what he sent us for or what we talked about the last time we spoke about him.
Yeah.
So I fucked with it.
Is there any specific tracks that you want to go on the record and say you just thought were really bad? That there were a couple of them. I'm not gonna lie. When you get 40 tracks, it's hard to deny. And there were a couple of them I think that were intentionally funny that way. They were trying to like fuck around with. I know there was one that definitely they were trying to mess with Sheridan. So I know they weren't expecting much from us in terms of a positive review, but I liked it because it was funny. But it wasn't. It was nowhere near my top 10 because it was just funny to me, but it wasn't anything special. Um, and that was a track by Scoozy P, the freestyle. I'm sure they're not going to mind talking about how it wasn't exactly the best track. I think that, like I said, it was kind of the intention. Um,
Bro,
But it
that's
was
that's the
funny. They
track.
had some nice little funny bars.
That track had multiple people on it, right?
yeah, no
One of
young
the
little child though. They mentioned
It
that
was
at the
it was
end.
Phenom and
one of the kids sounded like Mac Miller, bro.
the first one or the second one.
The second one, I thought
The
there was,
second one was Phenom.
but the second one sounded like old Mac Miller to me. Um, a couple Scoozy P, bro. That shit didn't sound like it was supposed to be serious. It sounded like it was friends having fun that had access to a microphone. So if you guys are taking music seriously, just keep getting better. You know, like fuck what we're saying, but take
One day
yourself.
you'll get that young little child feature. Just believe.
Yeah, I mean, just if you're actually pursuing this, take yourself more serious on a real note. We already talked about John Kavanaugh's track. I really just did not like that at all. Um, there
Oh,
was
we gotta talk about the
We gotta talk
track.
about the spinach song,
Now,
bro.
all right, yeah, let's talk about that first. Let's talk about the spinach song. I really did not enjoy this. I get that it was
No.
supposed to be comedy. It was 100% supposed to be like satirical rap, but it just more like was annoying to me. I don't know. I'm not good with
It,
satirical rap either. I like Lil Dicky and stuff like that once in a while. But like, and I think I put it in my notes that this would probably be way better if he went all out and made a video to it and was
yeah.
doing everything. But in terms of just a track, it was no bueno.
Well, and if he kept it more on topic, like if he made it all like if he literally only had bars about vegetables, that would have been fire. But he like did a lot of like brag rap, like, and I was just like, all right, like I get that you're like trying to be funny talking about vegetables, but like do it on every single line if you're trying to do that. Because it was in the mix was just terrible. Like the mix was all.
well,
It
that's
would
what
hurt my ears.
the mix was the worst part about this song to me. You feel me? Like I think that it was unjust. Like I feel like the song would have flowed better, sounded better if the mix was better. You feel me?
I
And
think you added it to your playlist.
Jack Sonic he's an artist that like basically strictly raps about vegetables and plants and farms and agriculture. Just really
That's cool though.
yeah, no, it's amazing. He popped out to Cypher Night one time. He killed it, and I've also heard him fucking snap. He also performed when I was teaching at New Roots. He came and he spit for the kids. So
Is he the one? Is he the one? Does he have like a GoFundMe type thing or something like that for? No,
No,
no.
that's somebody that's accused of like child pedophilia.
Oh, see, so we'll just keep it pushing. Definitely not the same guy. Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad, my fault.
Never want to like mislabel as somebody.
Nah, yeah, for sure.
Jack Sonic is a beast, bro. I've heard him really, really rap. This song was definitely one that was satirical. I wish that he threw something just a little bit more serious. One track that I think was serious. I know for a fact was serious. Like they did their thing. I really just didn't like the track. I like certain parts of it. Was Jerks and D Blaze's track. I don't remember what it was called. But
Universal Drip.
Universal Drip. I really, really did not like this song. I thought D Blaze's verse was dope. He went ham, but that beat was just I just didn't like the beat. The song concept wasn't really good to me, and the hook wasn't really good to me. Like the song never came together for me personally. I know both of those artists, and I just think that they're better than this song specifically.
To me, that track, I don't know why, but it just made me feel like a track that might hit better a couple of years ago. Like it had like a 2009 type of vibe to me. That's more so.
That's the biggest things about it. It was outdated. The sound it doesn't resonate well. But if you're gonna go for a throwback classic type sound, then this was not it. Even if it's a throwback sound, this still wasn't it. You feel me?
Yeah, I didn't dislike it really. It wasn't like one of my like least favorite tracks, but it was like mediocre for me. I actually liked the hook though. I liked the like pitch down vocal. I actually even wrote that in my note.
That was dope.
And I did
that's the mix. Like the production value on the song was really good. And I think that's because D Blaze probably mixed that. He's a fucking beast. I'm just talking about the song specifically, lyrics, structure, chorus, verses, all that.
Yeah, and I also wanna bring up Joseph Merrifield's beat bracket. It was the only beat that we got. It was kind of hard to judge up against like the actual tracks, but I still appreciated the fact that he sent it in. Like I was like, that's dope. It kind of changed stuff up for me. For a second I was confused, but I figured it out.
I loved it.
I loved the beat.
What I wrote next to Joey Merrifield's name was just disqualified, though. I'm not gonna lie. I gave it.
I just wrote NA.
Yeah, I gave it 2 minutes until I heard vocals. I did listen to the whole beat, but I was sitting there waiting for him to sing or rap the whole time because I know he does both. But because it was a beat and the only beat that we got, I had to disqualify it.
Yeah, like I said, it was just hard to. Yeah. You can't even put it up against everything else. It was a dope beat, and I sat there kind of the same way as you, Ant. Like, okay, are we gonna get something? Are we gonna get something? Nope. All right, this is a cool beat. Like, all right, I figured out what we got going on here, but it was still cool. And who knows? Maybe at some point we can do something like that for the producers in the area, where we are just getting beats sent in and judging those. So I totally and he said he misread the whole thing. Sorry, no, don't be sorry, man. It was cool to be able to hear the beat, and like I said, I appreciated you sending it in up against everything. It was just hard to judge up against everybody else, so we kind of just had to disqualify you.
It wouldn't have been fair to anybody else. Like it just simply wouldn't have been. That's it. The beat was fire.
I gave the beat an 8.
You gave the beat an 8. Yeah.
Facts.
That's one of the highest ratings. We only had.
I only gave out like 3 or 4 8s, bro.
Yeah, so that's fine.
And then a couple other ones that I do just want to bring up. I want to talk about Kimby 15's track Cappin'. It didn't hit really well for me, but I actually saw that Sheridan liked it a decent amount. And to me, I think that's dope because I know this kid is like a younger kid. I want to say he's like 18 or something. He's hit me up a couple of times on Instagram and continues to keep making music, and he's getting a lot better. He's actually got a project out that we might end up talking about in the next couple of weeks. So I thought it was cool that, like I said, it wasn't necessarily it for me, but it was kind of more up Sheridan's alley anyway. And so when I saw it hit for Sheridan, I was like, oh, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, it was just catchy. Like the lyrics weren't very like great, and like the just the premise of it wasn't really that original. It sounded a lot like kind of A Boogie, but I actually liked it more than a. Not that it's like production level is
You
like
say this all
anywhere
the
near A
time.
Boogie's.
You always want
I
to
just like
tell
I think it was
everybody.
like he was like A Boogie's like I don't want to call him A Boogie's son, but like it sounded a lot like A Boogie, but I liked it more than A Boogie. Not that it's better than A Boogie.
I'm dead. Ant, you weren't feeling this
I
one,
just
or
don't
at
like
least
A
not to
Boogie.
that
His voice
level
is
of.
annoying. His voice
Yo,
is
I'm
annoying.
about to go to my notes for Quibi 15. So,
I liked it. The hook was just catchy, bro.
well, no, granted, the hook was super catchy. The song was a bop.
Yeah.
I'm it's not even comparable to A Boogie, so I'm not gonna touch that. I'm just gonna say the production quality. It was one of the more professional sounding songs that we got. At least it was in the upper echelon of sounding songs. I thought that it was commercial ready, and I like those were my strengths. I thought the hook was good and it was commercial ready. The weaknesses that I gave it was that the lyrics were so simple, and that it was a little bit too repetitive for me. I would have liked to see him change it up a little
Yeah.
bit throughout the song, but then again, I could see 14 to 19-year-olds bumping this at a lot of different type of situations. I just don't think it was a very mature song for an adult audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree with all that.
For sure. And there were points where I was kind of wondering that, like, if people took that into consideration, maybe like the hosts that are judging this. Because there were a couple, I was like, these are a lot of love songs. I was like, if we were a bunch of females, this would be 100% different. But there's some of that, not to say if you had a love song that it automatically disqualified you, because there were a couple that were really hitting, but it was
There's
just.
a couple that made it on.
Facts, facts. But there were a couple that I was like that, and there. I think I got a couple in a row where I was just like, do they realize that this is a show full of dudes? Like, and I was totally cool with it because they were good tracks. And if you feel like that's your best track, 100%, I get it. But I was like, if you take into consideration the demo, you might have sent a different track. But
Yeah. A lot of people didn't take into account what our preferences might be or what their best chance at a win would be. A lot of people sent in, like you said, their most recent song or something that they fuck with currently. I know a lot of artists that were in the competition that if they sent a different song, their outcome would have been different.
absolutely,
Yeah.
even stuff that's already been released that I've heard a couple times. Like there's a couple of artists that I almost judged them up against themselves, where I was like, "Man, I know you have better tracks than this. There are better tracks than this by you that you could have sent us." And I don't blame them for not, because it was also kind of weird to have to judge a track that I've heard a bunch of times up against the rest of the tracks. We got a track from Ben Kent that was really dope, and I think it just barely missed our top 10 because maybe even because of that fact. I think if we heard it all fresh, it was brand new to each of us, it might have slipped into the top 10. But because at least for me, because I heard it, it was hard to go to bat for it, especially with what we had in our top 10.
Yeah.
Ben's was
It made my top 10, but I didn't have a problem with it coming out of it.
Ben's was 12th for me. He just missed 10, and one track that was super dope that I don't think it made the top 8 or 10. I can't remember. But one track that I really fucked with that I need a shout out was Writer Sincere and World Be Free. It was my introduction to both of them. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because World Be Free is the name of an old basketball player. Um, and I heard the track and I really liked it. At first, it was in my top 8, and I listened to the songs all over again twice, and it slipped out to number 11. But I really, really enjoyed the track, and I'm gonna be listening to more of you guys because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that track too. I thought it was dope. I definitely felt like one of them was a little bit better than the other one, if I'm being totally honest. But I couldn't tell you because I'm not super familiar with them which was which. But I think that it was the one on the hook. Like I really liked that. But I liked the track overall, and I really did dig it. But it just wasn't in my top 10. I know that. But it was a dope track. Should we get to just playing all the tracks that are in our top 10 before we accidentally start naming off some of them?
Yo, so are we going track and are we playing a track and then talking about it, or going all 10 tracks in a row?
Probably talk about it, right? Give it a little bit to at least sit on people's mind.
Yeah,
Please do.
yeah, and for
They,
people to give their reactions.
yeah, get some
Yo,
time to comment and whatnot.
Zay Smalls just commented and said, "Could we say our top 10?" But we haven't said it yet. Actually, we're about to get on to the songs that made the top 10.
Yeah,
So
and
you guys,
these 10 are in no specific order. I tried to go out of my way actually to reorder what we had to make it a little bit different in some type of way. So you guys, this is a genuine just top 10. We kind of have an idea of what our top 3 is, but based upon your guys' comments, all of that, then it could change things. It could definitely, I'm willing to be swayed, especially by the comment section for sure. The last there's like one or two more I do want to shout out just before we get to that point. I want to shout out especially we got that track Yumberry. I thought that was really dope, and I always want to shout out who sent that, Anna.
yeah, all the
Anna, yeah. That I like. I appreciate how much she sends to us and continues to work for us. And I wanted to say something about it because it didn't make our top 10. But I always want to shout her out because she's always working. She's one of the few female artists in Upstate who works like that and continues to communicate and do all of these different things. That it might not have been our favorite track, but as Anthony said, we were talking about it before we went live. That track is for somebody. It just probably isn't for us. And we think that we've probably heard better tracks from her. And I think that's if you feel like, I mean, I don't know. People are gonna get probably salty about our top 10 anyway. But if you feel salty about it, if you feel salty about it, like it's probably because we have heard tracks from you that we thought were better. So I don't know. I just wanted to preface with that, I think.
And so something that I've been shout out Anna because the track was dope. Something that I held against it a little bit was that I've heard better tracks from her. I think this was her most recent release. And just because some people sent their actual best track that they've had, some of them just hit harder. So next time, send us what you think is really your best song, because you easily would have been in the top 10 this time. So one thing that I've been telling Andrew and Sheridan for like the past week is that I've worked with so many different artists. I have relationships with so many of you guys that submitted. There's bound to be people that feel upset or some type of way. But just know that this was the most unbiased, just subjective or objective music reviews that we all could have given. None of us played any type of consideration into the relationships we may or may not have with you guys. And shout out to Uriah J, because the track that you submitted was dope, but you submitted a track with me. So even though the song was dope, we couldn't even really score it.
I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about that. I'm so glad. Yes,
Yeah.
it was difficult.
That
It made a
was my
difficult
favorite
situation.
track by him.
It was a really dope track, and like Sheridan said, it was probably one of the best tracks I've heard by him. It was just really hard, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. You can't really judge. You especially can't judge a track that he's featured on. So,
I didn't even write a review for that song. You feel me? But he knows how I feel about it, and I hope it releases soon. But
it needs to release soon. Like I said, that's a dope track. And I think it would be good for both of you. So, I liked it. If you have any frustration or anger about our list, make sure you direct all hate to Sheridan. He really appreciates the Facebook.
I will fight with you.
it was all that nigga's fault.
I will fight with you.
But in all honesty,
anybody has an issue with not making the list, we can debate. Seriously, I'll tell you straight up. Like, I will seriously tell you why it didn't make the list.
Oh, yeah. And that's
maybe you made my list and didn't make their list, and then I'll blame it on them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you feel like for some reason you were slighted or whatever, hit us all up. We'll send you, like I said, we all have pretty detailed notes on what we thought of everything and where we ranked it and whatnot. So, and it really, really came down to, at some points, like, some tracks just I liked better, some tracks Sheridan liked better, some tracks Ant liked better. We all had to kind of compromise to get a good top 10 that we all enjoyed. So
This nigga Jordy, he just said the realest shit. A real artist loves constructive criticism. Love it or hate it, they took the time to listen. Don't be salty, take notes. And that's fucking facts. That's something that we should have said by now. But shout out to Jordy for making that beautiful statement and wording it so eloquently. That he's one of the most positive people that I know, and it shows in his music and his character. Man, just nothing but love for Jordy. And take this shit for real. Like, take the notes, apply them to yourself. If you don't think that our criticisms hold any merit, then just say fuck us. It doesn't matter, bro. Like, our opinions at the end of the day are nothing but that. Opinions. Everybody else has them. And that's what happens when you drop music. Some people will like it, some people won't. We should probably get into the tracks because I know that's what the people want.
that's a fact. So let's go ahead and kick it off with an artist that we've actually featured on an interview on the Cypher before. MBK Richie sent in this track. It's called Imagine. We're not going to do too much talking. We'll just jump right into it.
Let's get it.
Yeah. Look. Imagine you was just like me, second guessing all them things you should probably believe. It's like I don't have eyes, I use my mind to see. Staring at the truth, knowing that it's lying to me. Too much second guessing, too much focus on the worst. I need some redirection. Patience thinner than this quarter ounce of weed I'm stretching. Shawty PMSing, leave it to my luck. She gon' probably say she pregnant. When will I learn my lesson? Hoes ain't worth it even when you got protection. And your niggas ain't with you, they the reason that you stressing. A year ago a nigga couldn't leave without depression, and I still see progression. I take that shit as a blessing. I just stay to myself, I can't confirm who I trust. Everything a nigga touch goes, so I might dust. Well, flip the hourglass over, your time's up. And ain't no more doubts, nigga, I made my mind up. Hold on, Cap, I got you right now. Look. Imagine you was just like me, in my shoes. Man, I'm talking way back in 03, when niggas wouldn't come to shows, even if they was free. Man, we probably got some hoes, but they was coming for me. Not the music, not the one they wanna envy is me. It's so confusing when they had the same chances as me and they didn't do it. I am not the fall guy, there's people that rely on me to show them the way like a motherfucking tour guide. Never ignore my sudden need for urgency. Brother, my time ticking and every second it worries me. People think I'm chasing the fame, it's all perjury. Personally, I don't care if none of these people hurting me. As long as I'm making this bread, then it works for me. My mom always being okay, sound like church to me. Cutting shit out like I gotta perform surgery. Let it blow away like sand since they deserted me. My mask work perfectly, the smiles make them think it's okay. But inside, I know that shit is hurting me. I 911 deal with it, cause I emergency. My uncertainty is certainly in a purging me. I am too cold with it, recognize truth when the flow hit it. Body got rest, but my soul did it. I am on go with it. Picture vivid like Van Gogh did it. Mind go place as soon as the smoke hit it. C-Cap, they be thinking this shit is easy, man. But if it was easy as they thought, them niggas would do it they damn self.
That's Imagine by MBK Richie. The comment section are definitely lighting up about this one, and a lot of the sentiment coming from the comments are why this is a top 10 track, and I want to make sure everybody fully understands. I think they do, but we might have spoke too fast. we're not playing these in any specific order. It's just 10 tracks. We kind of shuffle them all around. We're gonna judge your guys' comments. We're gonna judge the comments at the very end when you name which track you thought was the best, and that's gonna kind of help us decide our official top 3 at the very least. We're just playing the top 10 that we thought we liked. Your guys' thoughts on this one? Any notes specifically? Richie always shows up, it feels like.
So, personally, soon as I saw Richie's name, actually, 40 plus submissions. The crazy part is there was over a dozen rappers that I'd never heard of that I was introduced to. So when I saw Richie's name, it was a name that was familiar. I knew what he was capable of. You feel me? So I had high hopes for the track, and he definitely delivered. Son definitely delivered. The bars, the message, the vibe, the dialogue at the end, the overall feel to it. It was a really dope track. The only criticism, I gave all the songs a bunch of criticism. There was a couple songs that I really couldn't criticize too much about, and this was one of them. All I could say was that this wasn't my favorite mixed Richie track. It was still really good quality, better than definitely most submissions that we got. But I've heard his mixing be so finite and refined that this one threw me off a little bit. But it didn't matter in the end. He easily made my top 10.
Yeah, that one was like very easily in my top 10 as well. I agree the production wasn't on par with the lyrics, but I still liked it, and I thought it was a little campy, which I thought was cool, and it works. It reminded me almost of like some early Kendrick stuff. Not that he is a similar rapper to Kendrick, but just the vibe.
Hold up, let me say one thing. It was closer to J. Cole, if anything. If anything, closer to J. Cole.
No comment.
What reminded you of Kendrick?
No comment. I'm gonna keep it moving. My biggest criticism on it was that I wanted more low end in the beat. That was my biggest criticism.
Okay, I hear that. But like, you can really, like, us, not just you, but like we couldn't really critique the bars.
No.
Couldn't critique the flow.
No.
Like you couldn't.
Oh my God.
It was a meaningful song, all that, but definitely was closer to J. Cole than Kendrick. If anything, he had a way slower flow. His message was more straightforward. It was a more East Coast sound. I know you don't really want to go off of it, but I am kind of curious on what made you say Kendrick.
It reminded me of some of his like B-side tracks on Section 80.
Okay. I can hear what you're talking about.
That's it. That's like literally why it reminded.
It's just so fast paced to me. You feel me? And he's not.
No, I agree. That's why I said I don't think he's the same type of rapper. It was more the vibe of it that reminded me. Like sometimes it's more like Kendrick's than it is like J. Cole's.
I hear that.
And Ant mentioned at the beginning, like, we saw Richie's name and you kind of have that high expectation. And in some ways, that's a curse. Like, if this hadn't delivered, like I said, for some artists, hearing them not give us one of their better tracks, it was like, man, I automatically know you're better than this. Richie, when I put this on, I was like, yep, this is Richie doing Richie's thing. Like, I didn't have a whole lot of negatives to say. My only con was super nitpicky. It's just like, I feel like Richie does a lot of talking at the end or the beginning of his tracks, and it's not like that's super nitpicky. But when you do it on like a lot of tracks, it becomes too much. But it's just literally dumb nitpicky.
I love when rappers do that, but I definitely hear you when it gets overused. It can be.
And it's not like he's overused it, because it's not even like this track is out. And for anyone who's just hearing Richie the first time, it sounds cool. Like, you're like, oh, I fuck with this. There's absolutely nothing to it. It's just that I've heard so much Richie that I think he does do it kind of a lot. Not a whole lot. It's probably just even more than regular upstate artists do. Like, because I don't hear it a lot in upstate outside of him. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's like I said, super nitpicky. That's if I had to. We are all saying a negative. So
sure. And Zay Smalls, my bad. he just commented and said it actually reminds him of '03 Adolescence from J. Cole off for 2014 Forest Hill Drive. And I definitely hear the similarity. I think that the '03 Adolescence was more of like a dialogue between two people and like a reminiscent type of thing. But the overall vibe and how I feel when I listen to the songs are the same. And their cadences are kind of similar. Like, because of the tempo. They both were slow and straight to the point. They ain't missing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I don't know. I really like what Richie does. Richie does a really good job. Let's go ahead and move on to our next track. This is a track by Process. Weirdos. Like I said, we won't spend too much time talking about them. We'll just jump right into them.
Yeah. Hey, whole game misunderstood, and that's probably for good because we're weirdos. Hey, I ain't trying to impress nobody. My niggas back home ain't giving no vibe. When they hear me, I swear it's all silent. The way I'm giving it out, you swear they riot. Can't get no respect, I'm feeling like Rodney. Dangerfield in the field, kept it real. Can't tell if it's safe, but probably they just don't understand. Right now I feel like the man, but the streets don't feel what I'm saying. Man, you get what I'm saying. They don't love a nigga back home, and that's fine by me. Cause I got 136, they standing right by me. Okay, let's get it, the whole game strange. We don't follow trends, 5 men, 10 toes down, we just maintain. Don't care from a mainstay, all in your playlist, baby, I'm having fun. Music more to me than just funds, the way I'm shitting on the beat all runs. Okay, like who really fucking with me if they ain't a part of my team? Oh, fuck you lying, you must be kidding. Bro, pants on fire, whole game misunderstood, and that's probably for good because we're weirdos. I said the whole game misunderstood, and that's probably for good because we're weirdos. Given the fact of the matter, niggas don't like me, don't like them either. Know what's backwards, if I want love, gotta care, be away, yo boy, gotta feed them. Took a toll on my soul on this road to get where I want, so a whole bunch of demons. Both dressed up just like she, I count them while I sleep. I see them in my dreams, wanna take my life from me. Go ahead, slow down, buckaroo. You don't wanna fuck with a team, hold up, just wait till we're on. Radio rap your favorite song, yo bitch, you just sing along. Shut up girl, just sing along. Join this now, this shit is free. No man wagging you and me. Click up baby while you can. Process need all of his stands. Goddamn, whole game misunderstood, and that's probably for good because we're weirdos. I said the whole game misunderstood, and that's probably for good because we're weirdos.
And that's Weirdos from Process of Dim 136. And you guys are you'll get the feeling as we go through these. The comments will be pretty consistent of like, oh, this is heat. Oh, this is heat. Yeah, you're gonna have a difficult time, I think, at the end narrowing it down yourselves when we ask you to comment which track you thought was the best. What'd you guys think of this one? Got some notes for our boy Process?
For sure. You go on this one, Sheridan.
Yeah, this one, I think the only 10s I gave were on production. I gave 2 10s, and this was one of them. I absolutely love the beat on this. The dreamy piano was great. The flows were awesome. I liked the premise of the song. My literal only critique of the song was I heard a bunch of breaths. I deleted like his breaths from like some of the parts. Some of it sounded good, and then some of it I thought sounded a little awkward and would have sounded cleaner if he cut those out. But that was nitpicky, and it was definitely one of my favorites that I heard. And just the beat was definitely the highlight for me, but I also like the lyrics a lot too.
So, oh shit. This was shout out Process. I think that was a really good breakdown of the track. This was personally not my favorite Process song, but this is one that the more and more I listen to it, the more I like it. You feel me? The first time I heard it, I did not have it in my top 10. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not sure what it is. I think that he's better lyrically. I think that he sings better. And like you said, I could hear some breaths in the track. But by the second and third time I heard the song, I was like, God damn. Especially like, I guess the first time I heard it, it was one of the first songs that I heard. And you hear everybody else's tracks, and it makes you realize how good his song actually was, if that makes any sense. Like, comparatively to the songs that we got, this was definitely a standout. It just wasn't my favorite Process song in general.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I thought it was a really dope song. In some ways, it kind of gave me vibes. It reminded me of like a young Sinatra type Logic. I don't know if you guys listen to Logic with his young Sinatra time. Yeah, but that's kind of the vibes I was getting in with it. Maybe the beat or maybe his voice. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. But at the same time, it had a vibe to it that I couldn't really put my finger on because I spent a lot of time trying. I was like, this sounds like something that I like and that I've heard, but I can't tell you exactly who from. So I think I would say that's a good thing overall because it's a unique, dope sound. I don't know.
I would agree with you on that. It sounds familiar, but you can't put a finger on it. And that's definitely a good thing because it's going to make people's ears perk up immediately. Whether they think you're somebody else or whether they just think you're that professional, it'll increase your chances of anybody liking you. This was a song that if it was edited, it would be radio ready. The commercial value of this was pretty high. Like I see the song for what it is now, but I had to keep it a buck. The first time I heard it, it was not for me.
And that's how it goes sometimes. This next track might not be for everybody. It's a little bit of a change and is a genre shift, if you will. A track by Jake Daniels titled "I'm With It." It's pretty dope though. It's definitely different, but I fuck with it. And obviously, if it made it in the top 10.
If you want to slide through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. We could go hop in the coupe, take a ride, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it. Just give me the word if you want, get with it. Get with it. If you want to come through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. Shawty look bad in the sundress. You know they hating cause they can't put up a contest. Oh girl, you moving like you're trying to get it undressed. You know we about to go right off in the sunset. Why don't you hit on one time with the whoa? Louis Vuitton duffel like you already know. Instagram popping like you do it for the show. Leather jacket on your back like you bad to the bone. So tell me, shawty, is you with it? Ay, we could talk for like a minute. Ay, I could pull up to your city. Ay, say the word and I'm in it. If you want to slide through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. We could go hop in the coupe, take a ride, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it. Just give me the word if you want, get with it. Get with it. If you want, come through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, we could show up late to the party. It's all night, we don't have to say sorry. Line it up, taking shots of Bacardi. Hold you up like you in slime body. Yeah, I'm so happy that you came through. And there ain't nothing that we can't do. And I ain't never gonna change you. So, hey, if you want to slide through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. We could go hop in the coupe, take a ride, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it. If you want to slide through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. We could go hop in the coupe, take a ride, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it. Just give me the word if you want, get with it. Get with it. If you want, come through for the night, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it.
That's Jake Daniels. I'm with it. Like I said, that's gonna be a little different. I think I transitioned before they were able to hear you, Ant. But you said that this song could be the one that pisses some people off, and I could see it. I could see someone being like, "How did this pop heavy radio type track beat out what I put in?" And honestly, it sounded so clean. It is so like, I don't know.
Well, Andrew, I can answer that question. The reason why I said some people might get pissed off with this was because it's not completely hip hop. But when you judge a song, especially 40 of them, and you have to narrow it down to 10, 15, 8, some of them are going to stand out. And from a song standpoint, this was the best song that I think we got that wasn't straight hip hop or R&B. You feel me? I think this was more poppy. I think the production quality on the song was crazy. I could hear this in movies. I could hear this in some video games. I could hear this in the car of every teenage girl. You feel me? Like this is just a radio ready song that has a lot of commercial value to it. So the reason why it made the top 10, I should say, not top 8, for me at least, was because it simply was just sitting at the top in terms of production value.
Yeah, that's a fact. The beat was one of the best we got. The melody was one of the best that we heard, I think.
The melody was crazy. Like that.
The melody's insane, bro. It's so catchy. And like someone said in the comments, it's radio ready. I could hear that on the top 40, bro. It's like it's that good. Yeah, that's how good it is.
I didn't say that because I didn't want to gas him, but I could hear this.
I'm not gassing, bro. I mean,
could hear this as like a support hit. I'm dead.
It's literally it is.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, it really is though.
And there were a couple people in the comments saying it too, so it just sounds like it. It sounds like a track that would be very much played on the radio. I don't know how many people in the comments that said that would listen to it every day themselves, but you have to appreciate music like that sometimes. You can't just hate on something because it's not for you. At a point, you have to look at it and say, well, this has got a lot of reasons that it should be ranked up there. So it was a dope track, and like everyone said, it's definitely radio ready.
That's a fact.
Absolutely.
What we've got up next is a track from Isaac Daniels. It's Me, Myself, and I. Let's jump right into it.
Let's get it.
From the past, but now I get how the past can make me remember what I had. I'm to the neck, cause don't nobody got me like they say they do. Do you even know how I feel when nobody relate to you? They sugarcoat, I state the truth. Things change, shit happen. Regardless, I stay passive. Need space because it's hard living life in a straight jacket. They say death is uncertain, you never know when it may happen, which is why I live so passionate. Remember times when I didn't have an advocate. Had a chick till she started believing all the madness in the cabin. Who this and who that bitch, told her I never cheated. She ain't wanna believe me, arguments getting heated. I wasn't mad at her, I was mad at how she deleted all them smiles and memories, promises she meant to keep. We swore we would never hate each other. Don't know why I thought for a second we would stay together. But then again, it's me, myself, and I in the end. Everybody temporary, we on circle full of friends. That's why I hold it down for my brothers until I'm dead. Too much built up on my mind, sometimes I gotta clear my head. It's me, myself, and I in the end. Everybody temporary, we on circle full of friends. That's why I hold it down for my brothers until I'm dead. Too much built up on my mind, sometimes I gotta clear my head. Feeling big and bad. They used to doubt me, but now I doubt they don't feel my raps. Brother said forget the haters, Henny get the cash. Keep pursuing rap so you don't have to keep hitting for max. I know why they mad, They see where I'm at, now all of a sudden they holler back. But honestly, I ain't got too much time for that. They finding ways to try and hate, I peep the fakes from miles away. Sometimes I wish I could rewind the days, but they ain't needing my presence like holidays. And by the way, just know ain't nobody safe, cause I'm heavy in the game and I'll take anybody place. They feeling the best but don't feel what I say, but really who the hell am I to complain? As long as I'm alive today, they can say what they like to say. They can call me all kinds of names. I just hope and I just pray that he show me the right away. When I'm lonely I write and think, but then again, it's me, myself, and I in the end. Everybody temporary, we on circle full of friends. That's why I hold it down for my brothers until I'm dead. Too much built up on my mind, sometimes I gotta clear my head. It's me, myself, and I in the end. Everybody temporary, we on your circle full of friends. That's why I hold it down for my brothers until I'm dead. Too much built up on my mind, sometimes I gotta clear my head. But then again, it's me, myself, and I in the end. Everybody temporary when your circle full of friends. That's why I hold it down for my brothers until I'm dead. Too much built up on my mind, sometimes I gotta clear my head.
That's Isaac Daniels, Me, Myself, and I. The comments were definitely messing with that one. They definitely liked it. What do you guys think?
Man,
Go first.
that track was so dope. That was one of my favorite tracks overall that we got. I think that the vibe is something that'll never go out of style. He could have dropped that 15 years ago. Probably can drop that 10 years from now. You feel me? So he did a really great job on that. Lyrics were meaningful, witty. Nothing was super over complex, but he did his thing on the lyrical end. His flow was really dope. The beat was fucking amazing. I could listen to that beat on repeat. So I think that was a really, really good song to send in. And I think it was maybe like the only one of its kind, if you guys know what I mean. This type of old school, just boppy, like kind of lackadaisical in a sense. You feel me? This was the only song of its kind to me in this competition. I really fucked with it.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, I liked it a lot. It definitely wasn't one of my favorites. I thought the lyrics were pretty good. They weren't some of my favorite lyrics I heard out of the submissions. I thought the horns and the beat were definitely my favorite part. I don't know if it was like a saxophone or multiple different types of horns, but I really liked that. I wanted a little more, and I said this about another one. I wanted a little more low end in it. I didn't hear a whole lot of bass, and I'm just somebody who likes to hear bass.
No doubt.
And in general, I thought it was a really catchy song and a cool idea. I liked the whole premise behind it. It just didn't make like one of my favorites.
I hear you, bro. I mean, it's hard to combine lyricism over a good beat with a really innovative flow with a good message. You feel me? He checked all the boxes to me. The only like I hear you on the low ends. I think that this wasn't the best mixed track that we got. If this was a better mixed song, I could see it doing numbers in like the underground rap circuit right now. You feel me?
If it was better mixed, it probably would have made one of my top songs, honestly. Even, and I didn't mention that the vocal mix wasn't my favorite either.
Yeah, exactly. I praised it really heavily, but I forgot to say something that was weak on it. I definitely would have liked to see a better mix, but overall, it was one of my favorite tracks that we got. I bumped it while smoking a joint yesterday, and I had to play it back before I even went to somebody else just because I liked it that much.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for horns, so once I got to that part, it was a dope track in general. I really messed with it. Like you guys said, the mix could have been better, and I saw someone in the comments say that probably could have gotten a little bit more on the energy side, but that was a nitpicky thing. But it's something I kind of agree with to an extent, and sort of like maybe with a better mix, you kind of don't have that feeling.
That's what it is, because the energy that he gave was what he's supposed to for a track like this, especially. I don't. This was my introduction to Homie, but I can't. This is my assessment after hearing him. That's what he's supposed to sound like. You feel me? He sound like a Devin the Dude, and like Ryan says, Chance the Rapper-esque person that can rap, but is really vibing with you. You feel me? He's supposed to sound kind of like a friend, and not like he's rapping at you.
Yeah.
That song wouldn't have hit the same if he was yelling at you, or like. Not yelling is extreme, but even if he was just less whimsical than he was flowing on that beat properly.
Or even like speed. Yeah, even if he just sped up the pace, it might have gotten awkward.
Exactly. So like a better mix would have solved almost all the problems.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, but hey, it still made the top 10. So even with that,
Mhm.
those issues in the mix, what he brought, just in general, I think as an overall song, like,
It was real.
yeah, like Ant said, it kind of checked all the boxes that you need to check in order to make it in something like this, and I really messed with it, and it's a track that I'll definitely be going back to. I don't think it's officially released, so hopefully he keeps us posted on when it is, and if it is, we'll have to find out exactly where it's at. Let's jump to our fifth, or go ahead, Ant, before we jump.
I was just gonna say, if you're tuned in right now and you've seen all the tracks, comment which one is your favorite so far. I want to know what you guys are thinking, because we're not even halfway through the selection, but we've already hit some heat. So I just want to know from you guys which ones have been your favorite.
Facts. We're jumping right to the halfway point right now. This is our fifth track, I believe. It's by Amir Ali, Lights.
Let's get it.
Around town, man, around town, man, way up town, up in house, be timing like a banner. Around town, man, what? Yeah. Word around town, the man now. Way up top, no penthouse. Beat self like a band now. Girls like goddamn, wow. Know a lot of people don't like the kid. Man, cause they ain't moving like this. Flow so sick, they ain't got it. Oh well, just watch our pen out. My new girl is so gorgeous. Money up, no Forbesless. Up you take off, no Porsches. Another hit off courses. I'm Ali, yeah, I'm doing it big. Sauced up, too much drip. God no, can't link the kid. Best to ever go and do the shit. Just in case you didn't know it, I'm mighty cocky. I'm wild and I'm talking shit like, oh, who gon' stop me? I gotta dance and we going off at the party. Oh no, you cannot hang with me. Fuck your pride. Lifestyle, movie, new girl, choose me. Rock designer, yeah, Emilio Pucci. Nah, family, we don't sleep. Work too hard every day and week. Got it going on every time I hit the song, yeah, that's me. Lifestyle, movie, new girl, choose me. Rock designer, yeah, Emilio Pucci. Nah, family, we don't sleep. Work too hard every day and week. Got it going on every time I hit the song, yeah, that's me. Backpack rapper talking high end, no taste, somebody styling. Careers end when I dial in. Singles better than they albums. Too fly, no pilot. Too fresh, no stylist. Dropping so much heat, goddamn, can't be good for the climate. Oh, money good, I ain't got a trap. Art money, ain't got a rap. Truth be told, I already know, yeah, they ain't really like that. No, I visualize the script, yeah, so they not ready. I visualize the script, yeah, like Scorsese, yeah. Just in case you didn't know it, you know it. New art, Picasso, eating that Italiano. Work so hard, where the time go? Already know I'm the one, yeah. Been the man from the jump, yeah. Catch me out here somewhere, moonwalking on the sun, yeah. Lifestyle, movie, new girl, choose me. Rock designer, yeah, Emilio Pucci. Nah, family, we don't sleep. Work so hard every day and week. Got it going on every time I hit the song, yeah, that's me. Lifestyle, movie, new girl, choose me. Rock designer, yeah, Emilio Pucci. Nah, family, we don't sleep. Work so hard every day and week. Got it going on every time I hit the song, yeah, that's me.
That's Lights by Amir Ali. This one was kind of one that was all over the place, I feel like, in all of our rankings, but it still was within or near enough to the top 10 that it made its way there. It's kind of forced us into a situation where we wanted to do a top 10 because we wanted to get the listeners' idea and thoughts on it. And I was glad to see everybody talking about it. I feel like it's one that people had a lot of, like, not a lot of critique, but everyone had something to say about it. So that was cool.
Look, I think people did have a lot of critique for it, actually. But it's good that it sparked conversation. There were some people that really, really liked it. Some people that liked it for specific reasons, and some that it didn't do anything for. I feel like this was one that I was kind of fighting to get it into the top 10 a little bit. I think that it might have been the most, even though it was random, Isaiah said he doesn't know what the song is about. And I agree. The song's not really about anything. It's just about swag. It's just about who he is or how he perceives himself. You feel me? This was one that I gave a lot of bonus points to for creativity. The production, he swagged the fuck out on it. I think he floated on that shit. Like his flow was really good. The lyrics were really old Kanye-esque. You feel me? I think that was like 808 and Heartbreaks post Kanye. That's how I looked at it. Nothing was too complex at all. But if you listen to the lyrics, he was rapping. He had references, he had metaphors, he had similes, he had flex bars, he had jokes, he had real shit. His vocals kind of sounded like, I think we all agreed, sounded kind of like what Mr. McBean tries to do. You feel me? Or he was trying to do kind of a lane in a Mr. McBean alley. You feel me? I could see Kelsey all over this beat. He would have destroyed it. He would have been the perfect feature for this song, in my opinion. I think it would have enhanced it a lot. But this is just one of those songs that you got to understand doesn't have a super big concept, and you just got to enjoy listening to. If you don't enjoy it, it probably just wasn't for you.
Yeah. I mean, this was the only other song that I gave a 10 on the production, just because of how much I liked the beat. I thought the beat was just crazy. I guess I didn't really take into consideration the mixing, just because I was so into the beat. Like if I take into consider the mixing wasn't a 10. But
I was gonna ask you that. I was wondering.
Yeah, I had to be clear. It was just the beat that I was scoring that time. I was just like so into the beat, I wasn't even thinking about the mixing. But honestly, in terms of like lyrical content and even the melodies, it wasn't really one of my favorites. It was a really fun song, but I think like a better mix and upgraded lyrical content would make that song like a radio ready song, I think.
I hear what you say. I hear what you're saying.
There was also like a lot kind of going on in the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At some point, the beat switches up, and then he brings it back, and I felt like kind of that whole part was a little unnecessary. I get it; it was like a little bit artsy, and it could have been really dope, probably if it was mixed better. And that's kind of the thing when you're doing so many different things, when your beat is so flamboyant, when your production, or not your production, but your mixing isn't up to that level, it's kind of a glaring thing. It kind of stands out and something that people easily notice. But it was a fun track. There were parts of it that I didn't love. But then that's kind of what Ant said. You either love it or you don't. I think, especially with that type of beat, if you don't get into those kind of beats, then definitely not. But
yeah, I mean, I think he tried to do so much with the production to hide the fact that it wasn't like the most refined vocals. Not necessarily that was his goal, but I think just by having so much in the beat and so much effects on the vocals that it distracted from how low quality it sounded at some points, just vocal wise. But it never really took into it never affected the score for me. I definitely had it in the top 10. And I was really excited to hear it. Amir Ali is an insane producer, and I've known that he's
beat's crazy.
We got to give credit to that fact. He did all the work on that.
He produced that.
That beat's insane.
So maybe that might have went into play into this song, me ranking it so high. But I've also been anticipating some solo music from him from a while, and this delivered. This was probably better. This was better than what I expected from him. I think overall, people got to realize that I don't think he's been releasing music for very long. So for where he can go from here, unbelievable. He has a type of artistry to him that you can't teach, and that was something that I could really relate to on this track. I think that I just saw his he was so sporadic, but I still could get at least what he was trying to do with the song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And like I said, it definitely wasn't a bad song, and that's why it wasn't like we were fighting to keep it out either. We were just like, let's make it a top 10 then, so we can discuss everything and get other people's opinions on the track too. I was probably most excited to play this one just to see what the comments were, because I knew that it definitely wouldn't be like my take of where I just wasn't really into the beat. I knew that would be people's standout, so I was waiting for that, and so it was really interesting.
Comment whether you guys think that was a top 10 or not. If you think something else should have made it, or you just weren't really feeling that track.
For sure, everybody who didn't make top 10 is gonna be like, well,
Yeah. if you get the chance to and you're tuning in, like the Upstate Aesthetic page, y'all. We trying to grow this shit. Andrew's been working real hard, and we gotta reward him. Let's get him to 1K. Turn this shit up. Share the
Oh, we're over 1K now. It happened the other day, but we'll keep it pushing. Yeah, keep it pushing up over 1K all the time. So, facts.
Get it.
He meant 2K.
Yeah, 2K.
I meant 10K.
Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing to the next track we got on the docket. This one's by Don Pablo. It's Still Educated.
Oh, nah, this shit is fucking wild, bro.
Whoa. Dropped out, still educated. Humble, I never hated. I'm reeling these niggas faking. I'm winning if it's a race. Got the block clicking these niggas that's not winning. I'm putting them shots in them. He mad as bitch wanna taste. Dropped out, still educated. Humble, I never hated. I'm reeling these niggas faking. I'm winning if it's a race. Got the block clicking these niggas that's not winning. I'm putting them shots in them. He mad as bitch wanna taste. You snitch, you ain't beat the case. You bitch, I see in your face. Hit you and won't leave a trace. Been real, I was never fake. These niggas softer than Drake. I'm popping without a tape. I'm fly, I don't need a cape. I've said what I need to say. Niggas know that I be talking shit, rapping about how I walk with grips. These niggas be chatting and acting like I don't walk with it, but I don't even need to. I can hold the blade, shape a nigga up. He won't need a mirror to see the face. Skin a nigga like an Indian. It ain't really shit, he talking spicy, but he been a bitch. I could get a nigga I tell him pack that shit the fuck up. They don't talk when I run up. Niggas know my body, run out of bullets, get gun buck. I don't even give one fuck, shouldn't need to remind you. You can hit me for weight if you broke out nickels and dimes too. I don't wanna hear about a pistol, fuck what a 9 do. Better load it up before me and my niggas find you. Headshot, my nigga Rob remind me of dead shot. If you beefing, we post up on your block like it's red box. Yeah, I chill with niggas who really don't play the games. Get caught, we won't say a name. You niggas can't say the same. Never chillin' with these niggas that snitchin'. I be with bitches, fiending to get the riches. These niggas is turning witness. This chick in my only mission. I be with them niggas who juggin' and really killin'. They look at us like some villains. Dropped out, still educated. Humble, I never hated. I'm reeling these niggas faking. I'm winning if it's a race. Got the block clicking. These niggas is not winning. I'm putting them shots in them. He mad as bitch wanna taste. Dropped out, still educated. Humble, I never hated. I'm reeling these niggas faking. I'm winning if it's a race. Got the block clicking. These niggas is not winning. I'm putting them shots in them. He mad as bitch wanna taste.
That's Still Educated by Don Pablo. The comments were definitely fucking with that one. We've all been fucking with that one for the last couple days since we played it. It was easily slid up into the top 10. What'd you think?
Yo, every time Son gets on the track, he surprises me. I'm not gonna hold you. He don't sound like YBN Almighty J. Don't do that to him. Don't do that to him. Oh, nah. Don't do that. That was easily one of my favorite tracks of the contest. I heard that as one of the first submissions, and until like the last couple tracks, the last 10 or so, I thought it was gonna be the best one. And it still might have been. You feel me? We haven't got to that point, but he just got some competition towards the end. This was easily, I'd say top 8, no doubt. Top 5 for me on my list.
Me too.
Youngin came really hard. Production is fire. His voice is so deep. It's so deep. That
Bro,
nigga
someone in the comments said he sounded like he was 35, and I about started crying.
Nigga sounds like he's been smoking menthols since he came out his mom's womb. You feel me? Like, he's got that raspy voice like I do, except his voice is 10 octaves lower. You feel me? Like, his shit, he could say nothing on a song and it would sound fire. Except he said a lot of shit on that. His flow is so smooth. Bars were there. And the energy, I was bobbing the whole time. That was no doubt one of my favorite songs. And especially as far as rap goes, that was probably the hardest shit that we got. You feel me? Like, I would bump that on the regular.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's funny because I've been listening to his music for a while, and I always thought that like the tone in his voice was like definitely his strong suit. So now hearing what he did then, which I thought was very promising, to hearing what he's doing now, which I think is stacks up against anybody. It's really cool. I think it's. Yeah, I think it's really amazing, and he's still so young. Someone commented, said he's 18, and that's crazy. And someone said it was Richie. Richie said that he sounds like Dave East. That's true. That's true. But like, he's young. Like, he's still finding his flow. Like, eventually he'll have his own sound. He's obviously showing what his influences are.
Some niggas will say sounded like Dave East is a bad thing, but he naturally sounds like Dave East. He's not trying to emulate Dave East. You feel me? Like, that's how he raps. I think that's what separates him. He doesn't sound like a clone to me. He just sounds really, really fucking similar. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
If he came on a track with Don Q, you would think it was Dave East. You feel me? Like, that there would be no disagreement. I think that he has the future ahead of him. I said it before. That nigga stays out of trouble if he keeps his good head on his shoulder, keeps the right people in his corner. I know my man Todd got a good head on his shoulders. He's got the best interests in for him. I think that's who's managing him right now.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. So I hope that they can flourish into what I know that son can be. That track was fire, and I don't even think that's one of his best songs. It just really just hit.
Yeah, and I'm still super new to him, so basically every time I hear him, it's like a surprise to me, and I'm like, oh wow, how have I missed out on this? So I'm looking forward to see what he brings next, and I do want to clear it up for Richie. He said he didn't sound like him. He said he just jumped into the flow real quick, which makes sense. And all right. Well,
I definitely said he sounds like Dave East. That nigga sounds like Dave East.
Like you said, it's just like he naturally jumps into the flow, and I think Richie kind of can relate to that. He said he sort of jumps into the same type of flow, so it's just like a natural thing, I think, for some artists. But you can obviously hear the relations there, and I'm sure Richie's got those comparisons plenty of times too, so it makes sense. Let's go ahead and jump to our next track. This one's definitely got a more R&B vibe to it, but I really like this one. It's Zay Small's Downtime.
Woo! This shit was fire, bro.
Of having so much on my plate, and I'm tired, I'm so tired of working late. I'm so fed up, I think I deserve a break. I use any downtime I can take. I got so much on my mental. Ma told me that rest essential. girl, I need some downtime. Gotta get some downtime. Downtime. Hey babe, you awake? We ain't got no time to waste. Hop in the whip, let's get away. Ride the wave with no brakes. Maybe we head to Barbados. Wake up for breakfast, cheese, eggs, and potatoes. Got nothing planned, we can pick as the day go. I'll wake you out, get you hot like volcano. Yeah, we can chill out by the beach. You and me, no in between. Got our playlist on repeat. You said you love it, I agree. I've been working really hard, you know I'm on my grind. Yeah, I'm climbing every day, you know I'm in my prime. I've been trying, girl, I'm trying not to lose my mind. Think I need a little downtime, yeah, think I need a little downtime. Gotta get some downtime. Girl, I need some downtime. Gotta get some downtime. Downtime.
That's Downtime by Zay Smalls. That was definitely one that stood out to me. I was hyped to get a really dope R&B style track that was super quality like that. I've just kind of within the last year and a half or so been getting into like R&B like that. So when I heard it, something like that coming out of Upstate, I was hyped. So what were your guys' thoughts?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've been listening to Zay for a while now. I'd say for the past 8 months to maybe a year. I can't specifically say when, but this was probably my favorite song I've heard from him. And I've heard some incredible shit. So I just got to give the praises to homie. I can't really critique this song. You feel me? It's not hip hop. It's not my lane. So you could always say, oh, he could have more witty bars and blah, blah. That's not what this was. That's not what this was about, bro. Like, this song was a fucking vibe. I know that you could play this at the cookout. You could play this in the room with the lights low. You could play this with your girl. You can even play this with the homies, depending on who the homies are. You feel me?
That's a fact, though. That's a fact.
Like this was an unbelievable track. And I'm not gonna lie, I knew it was a top 10 entry the first time I heard it. But the more I listened to it, the more I thought it was even better than the first impression that I had of it. So, man's got to really put some promo behind this, do a video for it. He said it dropped next Friday, or maybe this Friday. Regardless, make sure you get that pre-save link, put it in your Spotify playlist, Apple Music. I know a lot of people said they wanted it. Support the local music after this podcast like you do on it. You feel me?
Yeah.
And what I was about to say, we're getting close. We've got 3 more tracks to play, so start getting it in your head of which one you've heard so far that you think was your favorite one. So that way, when we ask you at the end, you've got an idea of who to comment. It could be anyone we've played so far. Like I said, 3 more, so maybe it'll be one of those ones. But start thinking about it, because we're gonna hit the comments, and y'all are gonna be stuck like we were. Like, damn, which one was my favorite? Because it really is kind of a difficult choice when you have a variety of different sounding tracks and stuff like that. Like I said, that R&B track, I was really, really hype about that. That we got maybe a couple other R&B type tracks, but that one really stood out above like the other ones. So,
yeah, that one was really cool. I really liked it, and like Anthony said, there's not really much to critique about it. And I tried to put like something for every song. So like I nitpicked. And I was like, I wasn't like 100% about all the lyrical content, but that's not the type of song like that really matters that much. It was more about preference than was quality. They were quality.
He also snapped on that second verse though. Like,
yeah, no, he did.
Just like you said, I wrote something that I critiqued about every single song, and that was my criticism. Like, even though I love the song, I wasn't all the way engaged the whole time the first time I listened to it, you feel me? I felt like it was just as good as background music as it was as listening to it, you feel me? Which is almost a compliment in itself, to be honest. Because a lot of people's music just really isn't good in the background. You can't just chill and listen to it. But there's really nothing that you could say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dope track, and I'm glad we got it because he's someone that I'm super new to, so I'm gonna be checking him out. Like I said, I'm excited to see that there's a dope R&B artist like that upstate.
My introduction to Zay, I heard a song from him. I can't remember what the name of it was, but I was blown away. I hit him up immediately, and I was like, "Yo, I need you on a song today." He was like, "Yo, like, but I fucks with you, but we gotta have a song where our content lines up and it's radio ready, like no swearing type shit." And so, if you listen and say, "I'm working on that song. I'm gonna make sure you got something that's radio ready. Just bear with me." And I see that Jake Daniels, who is also in this top 10 right now, he produced that beat. So that's actually really crazy.
Yeah, that's dope.
Props to you, bro. I just got a pack from Jake. He's an unbelievable producer. So it's dope to see a jack of all trades.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're talking about someone who was already featured, this next track actually features someone who was already on the list. It's PS featuring Process. We played Process's track Weirdos earlier. This next track is by PS. They're both a part of Dim 136. This track is Call Me. Let's jump right into it.
You can call my phone. It won't take me long to get in your zone. It won't take me long. Baby, just call my phone. You don't have to be alone. Trying to be the next thing up. Why you gotta fight me out? Nothing like the last of all. I'm just trying to get you loud. If you don't want me, baby, then you should have shut things down. Oh yeah.
We leveling up. Hard time sacrifices got us bettering up. Told you if I ever fall, girl, we better get up. I'll be right there, girl, to handle your trust. I'll be there to hold you down whenever you need me. Spitting these headlines, hope you never receive me. I get the job done, girl, you gotta believe me. If we fall, girl, you gotta retrieve me. I flood your whole wrist, ring finger dripping with diamonds. Matching rollies just to show that we better with timing. I'll be right back to you right after I'm grinding. You got me tied down, but I'm better with bonding. Never pack a bag wearing new gear, niggas. You just pick a place and we flew there, nigga. You can't decide, guess we buy 2 pair, niggas. Looking fresh like a new pen, nigga. I promise that I'm there when you hitting my phone. As long as I got breath, girl, you're never alone. Long as the sun shine, girl, you got your home. You the one that I want in my zone.
Yeah. When you're all alone, you can call my phone. It won't take me long to get in your zone. It won't take me long. Baby, just call my phone. You don't have to be alone. Oh yeah.
No voicemail, you on the boy trail. I was locked down, you sent the boy mail. The feds came knocking, you told them set sail. And when it got the bag and post the boy bail. So whatever you need, baby, know that you got it. Just pick up the phone and you know that I'm on it. I don't care if I'm busy, baby, know that I'll drop it. You was there when I was broke, so now you got you a profit. For the mother hoes, they not on my mind. Like a ticket on the dash, I'ma make sure you fine. Let me rub on your feet while I spit you a rhyme. And I know you tired cause you running all on my mind. You make it so smooth, I can feel you on my brain. I wanna take you far, soft kisses in the rain. You got that special body, got me feeling on your frame. Stripes on that kitty, that's a tiger I can tame. And we can get low as I'm pulling you close. The lights go down, got me loving you most. And the music is right, babe, let's take a toast. And the dinner is you, I don't need me no host. Yeah.
take me long to get in your zone. It won't take me long. Baby, just call my phone. You don't have to be.
That's PS featuring Process, titled "Call Me," and I see the comments, and I think it's interesting because it kind of was the same type of conversation I think we were all having. It's kind of the similar situation to the Amir Ali track, where each one of us had it ranked in different positions, but still right around our top 10 for different reasons. Who wants to go first?
Let's start with you, Sheridan, because you were in love with this track, right?
Yeah, this was one of my favorites. This was kind of like my introduction to PS. I haven't really heard a whole lot of his other stuff. I haven't interacted with him a whole lot, but I just see our opinions on Facebook. We usually disagree on most rap opinions, but that's okay, and it's fun and it's interesting. But I really liked what he did here, and I agree with the people who are saying he needs a little time to grow, but I think he is really good right now. And I think that the hook was probably the best part. I think Process really killed it. The beat was awesome too, but it also was really fitting for the flow that he had, and it was just a vibe for me. The lyrical content was good. It could have been better, but honestly, it just vibed either way. So I think it was definitely one of my favorite tracks that I heard.
Like Andrew said, this was a conversation that we had in the group chat before this. This song was on the brink. I can't remember where you had it, Andrew. Did you have it in your top 10?
It was up there. I want to say it was near there, but not right up in there. Yeah,
I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was your top 10. I had it at top 5.
Yeah. I think that's what saved this track was Sheridan's top 5 placement. Because this wasn't in my top 10 either, but it was in my top 15.
Yeah, I think we were both in that same boat pretty much. Sheridan had it ranked really high, and we both had it right outside our top 10.
So this song, I think Trayvon really came into himself. Actually, even though it was 2 years old, I've heard modern day songs from Trayvon where he doesn't sound as comfortable as he does on this. So that's something that he's been working on. He's a really dope artist. I think that Ryan's hook was one of the best parts of the song as well. Production was really good. This just wasn't. This song, it came down to a couple different songs that were right on the brink with this that I think just slightly knocked it out of my top 10. But I'm glad that it is in the top 10. Listening to it right now, I totally understand why it's here. And I don't know if that's released. Is that comment right now if that's released, Trey?
I don't think it is.
In a Spotify playlist or something.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is, but yeah, it's definitely a dope track, and I haven't heard a ton of music by him, but from what I've heard, it was one that I definitely enjoyed a little bit better. Looking back at my ratings for it, like I definitely was one of the tracks that I would have put up there near my top 10 just because I liked it. I thought it had I want to say one of you guys might have said it had a Common type vibe. It kind of reminded me of like a Joe Budden type, very lyrical but speaking about emotions type of thing.
That's a good way to put it. I would say Joe Budden is significantly more lyrical, at least, than that. I put Common I said Common because it reminded me of how simple he can be, but how deep he can be he can be simply deep. And he doesn't have to say too much to get his point across.
Common's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he is. And I'm glad that you could see the comparison to this track because it was the first thing that I thought of when I heard it.
I heard it in another one that we haven't played yet, too. One of the next ones we play.
Facts. So shout out to PS, shout out to Process. And I think that, honestly, it's unbelievable that Process is on here twice, low-key.
Yeah.
Shout out to homie for that. I think he's the only one that's on here multiple times.
Yeah, as far as like singing goes, like you said, we have Jake Daniels who did production on that other track, but those two pretty much made an appearance in some way, and yeah, Process did the beat on that too. So he's multifaceted. And that's what gets him in shit like this. He's just so talented. So it's impossible to deny.
And he let us mention he had there was another song submitted that he was featured with another artist that was also very high in all of our rankings.
Borderline top 10.
Oh, did it make the top 10?
The one with Corey.
Oh, I thought it did make the top 10. That's crazy.
Nope, just barely on the outside. And that, I think it came down to a situation of like I've heard
track.
Well, yeah, that especially, and just the situation of like I've heard a lot of Corey tracks, and I think that Corey probably has better tracks than that. I think that's probably his next drop, and that's why he sent it to us. I don't know that it was his. Even he would say it's his best, but I'm pretty sure it's just his next drop.
It's definitely not Corey's best. But I remember I had Corey's song above this in the initial ranking. I think this song has more longevity. I think this song has a little bit more longevity. I think Trayvon's flow was clean. I think he needs more energy. Like it sounded drowsy. It didn't really sound too entertaining. If he wasn't saying good things, if the beat wasn't there, it might have been a little bit more boring. But one thing that if I had to criticize, it would be just put some more energy behind what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so like we should, before we move on, shout out Dim136 because literally they had 3 tracks introduced into this, and then there were a couple groups of people that dropped tracks into this together, but Dim136 had 3 that were probably up there within our top 15, each one of ours. So all 3 of them. So shout out to them. Looking forward to them participating in this going forward because they're always working on shit like this. So.
They monopolize the top 15. That's crazy.
Absolutely, and look for Corey to drop. He's going to be dropping a track soon. I know that. They confirmed it basically in the comments. So up next is a different Corey. We have Corey Alexander, someone that was introduced to us on the first episode of this podcast 9 episodes ago, and it's very fitting that he would make this list with a track that he sent in. It's unreleased. It's one that if you've tuned into Live From Your Timeline, you've heard it. Well, if you tuned into the YouTube version of Live From Your Timeline when we actually got Corey's performance, then you've heard it. If you've missed that, you haven't heard it, so here you go.
I'm actually very excited.
In a minute, thinking I've been too up in my feelings, but you better be believing. You come out, come swinging. A few rhymes, few reasons. Ain't going nowhere, no pal, nah. Trying to be a new age, smooth rock star. Climbing up the ladder, yep, I'm running to the top. Wasn't a discussion, got the game on lock. Yo, the music game is crazy, it ain't for everyone, baby. Everybody trying to make it cutthroat. Machete, I can't explain all the headache of a creative and critic art, sci-fi fiction. I'm a chronicle of Riddick. Yo, Diesel, keeping it regal. We are not equals. I don't think you make it to the sequel, people. Let me explain myself. Yo, this music shit tied to my mental health. Keep it cooking, Rachel Ray. New track every day, new shit on replay. On my way to the bank, give a fuck about what they say. Say I here doing May 315 made 518. Hey, like I said, it ain't up for discussion. Do not fuck around, you'll deal with the repercussion. Spit the bang 16, a fire delivery. Charge a pretty penny, cause I fucked up the thing. Yo, I haven't cut a record in a minute. Thinking I've been too up in my feelings. Better be believing. He come out, come swinging. A few rhymes, few reasons. Ain't going nowhere, no pal, nah. Trying to be a new age, smooth rock star. Climbing up the ladder, yep, I'm running to the top. Wasn't a discussion, got the game on lock. Interesting dilemma, let me tell you, people do get jealous. Seen them when they met a couple fellas, then they wish you well. And everybody's sensitive, a couple folks are talented. Unless you've been in the room, I promise you don't know the half of it. And everybody wanna be the boss, don't wanna pay the cost. The type of shit that really piss me off. That's the type of shit that fucking piss me off. Shit that let me know that you never had the sauce, motherfucker. I could give a damn, I put it on the track. Half the industry is greedy, other half of them quacks. I ain't giving shit to needy rappers, ain't holding back. Corey Alexander, I put myself on the map. And I hope you know I don't do it for money or fame. The consequences of going and living a dream. A couple others, I promise that I'll be okay. But I also promise your mama is gon' know my name. I haven't cut a record in a minute. Thinking I've been too up in my feelings. Better be believing. Come
That's Corey Alexander. Locked. I almost forgot that he had like 45 seconds at the end of that. That was just nothing. Outside of that, I really like this track. But that was the one part I was like, come on, man. It's a contest. Cut the track down, bro.
I hear you, bro. Like, that shit was crazy to me. I'm gonna let Sheridan go first because he's worked with Corey. I'm interested to hear his take on that specific track. So take the floor, my man.
Yeah, so I've when I was in LA for quarantine for about 2 months, Corey moved out there. I think he moved from Albany, and I ended up being able to link up with him and record a song with another artist I collaborate with, Dorothea Murray. And so we recorded a song and then shot a video. And on one of the drives we were on, he played a couple of his unreleased songs, and this was one of them, and it was definitely one of my favorites that he played. Great melody, great lyrics, definitely like an emotional premise to it. I think that it made my top 5 for sure. He has a great voice, great flow. He brings a lot of energy and unique just vibe to his music. So I think it's something that whenever he shows me a song or whenever he drops, it's something that I immediately check out because I'm always interested in what he's doing next.
No doubt. Like, what Corey did on that, wow. What Corey did on that track is something I've never seen him do before. And granted, I've only heard about 5 Corey songs. I haven't heard too much from him, but I was really very surprised and excited to hear this from him. This is a side that when we first talked about Corey, I said that I wanted to hear him jump in. This is what I'm talking about. When I said some hip hop elements to some rapping, you feel me? He had a melody. He never just sat down and spit a crazy 16. But this is exactly what I was talking about, Sheridan.
Yeah.
He rapped. He was rapping from the heart too. He wasn't just spitting some bullshit. When I first heard this song, it definitely made my top 10. And the more I listen to it, it's definitely top 5. It could be top 5. And it could even be top 3, to be honest. This is a really, really good song, top to bottom. Even though it's not my favorite, like as a song, like I had no criticisms of this. I think that Corey, he's such a strong vocalist. It's not always my favorite notes, or I guess just how he sounds isn't always my favorite, but his voice is so strong and his flow is so controlled. His lyrics are always heartfelt. So whatever he lacks in some God level singing element, he makes up for in song making ability. You feel me?
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, bro, like this started as a top 10, and I would not be surprised if this was a top 3 when we get to the end of this.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was gonna say. It kind of comes down to, I think Corey is unfortunately in somewhat of an uphill battle because he interacts with us so much, and we've all been sort of fans of him since the beginning of the Cypher. That I at least was a little hesitant to throw him up at the very top. Well, one, because like I said, I heard this track on Live From Your Timeline, and when he did it on Live From Your Timeline, if you've ever heard an artist do a snippet or whatever in the studio and they're singing over it, like it almost always sounds so much better because of that vibe and that energy that they get. So hearing it this way, like it's still a wicked good song, but when I heard it in that capacity, with him just being live and like the raw vocals and stuff, I enjoyed that a little bit more. So again, it just because I have heard it in a different way, it kind of had an uphill battle. But if you guys are feeling it, you guys remember we got one more track to play. If you guys are feeling it, overload the comments and let us know.
Jake says that this was probably his favorite song so far. And I think that this song is going to hit some people more than others. It definitely resonated with me. Yeah. You had to, one, keep up with his flow. He was saying a lot of shit, but he was saying it very fast. It was all meaningful. He didn't have really too much filler in that song at all. So if you kept up with what he was saying, I think that's the most important thing to me, is that I genuinely appreciated where he was coming from as an artist. His message, he was being honest with himself. And when you can be honest with yourself and still make it resonate with others and captivate a whole song out of that, there's nothing really like it.
Yeah, it was super catchy.
I told my girlfriend the other day, we were listening to his song. I can't remember the name. There's a woman that comes on to do like a duet halfway through. It was an introduction to Corey that I had. And I was telling her, like, you know, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not the biggest fan of his singing in general, but it's never taken away from a song for me. I don't know what it is. Like, there's not too many people that I've ever heard that I'm not the biggest fan of their singing in general. And I can just completely get engulfed into the song. Like, he's a great singer. I think his strength in his voice is so dominant. It takes over the whole song. But I'm just saying, as far as voices go, it's not necessarily my favorite. Like, as far as my best singers in this area go, it would be different than my best artists or my best songwriters. You feel me? Like, this was all around an amazing song. And I'm so happy that he sent this specific one in. Because based off the vibe that I heard from him, if he sent a couple of different ones in, then it might not have done as well as this one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fair point, but at the same time, like Ryan said in the comments, like, I've never heard a bad Corey track. Like, all of his tracks have kind of hit for me in a great way. So
there is no bad Corey track, but I would say this one was the most catered to a hip hop audience. Fair. We've had Jake's song, we've had Zay Small's song, and those were both hip hop elements, but not necessarily rap itself. You feel me? I think that this song was a great combination of both. It had a lot of hip hop elements as a single, but he was still singing for the majority of it. It kind of, and granted, I might get killed for this. I'm not trying to say it's as good as or comparable, but the closest thing to it was like Anderson .Paak to me. That's kind of the feel that I got from it. Just upbeat, energetic, dope vocals with some bars behind it. You feel me? So take it or leave it.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that. Let's go ahead and jump to our last track. It's our last of the top 10. So if you stuck with us through this entire point, get ready. I would say post your favorite one, or maybe even what your top 3 would be, so we have something to base it off of. Then after this track, we're going to talk about the track a little bit and probably get into a discussion on what exactly we think our top 3 is, and then officially announce it, because we've got a top 10, but I don't know that we have a top 3 locked in at this point at all, which is going to make the last 10 minutes of this episode kind of difficult, but we got it.
It's super fun.
Facts. Here we go with Who I Am by John Fall, the last of the top 10.
Oh my.
Yeah. No lie, my heart hurts. It's real stuff though. Yeah, who do I wanna be? I'm usually asking me with all of me. A part of me wants to react cold-heartedly for turning my back on myself and who I was born to be. Fortunately, most of you kept it real partially, so I was forced to see the fate and realize the real lies they force-fed to my face. I never meant to get caught up in the charades. I'm just a product of my environment changing in many ways. But anyway, I'm back to me. I'm back to being here actually as a masterpiece. An athlete in his prime, rather a casualty, treated so casually. Imagine me laid in a casket to peace without my message being cast to the streets. Now that's a tragedy, a travesty. I won't allow it to breach my gold streets. Wisdom is willing to teach. I show y'all who are willing to see what we could be. Oh, I stargaze and I wonder what the stars say. I tell them no disrespect, but I do it my way, the hard way. Cause what's easy was never worth it the long way. Y'all know what I'm trying to convey. I do it big just to show you different. How I don't need 3 chains on me to show I glisten. Need no assistance. See, the plot thickens when you just wanna fit in. So be yourself, that's the strongest position that you can get in. Really strive to be optimistic, reach for beyond the limits. A better way of living, that's to not be a statistic. Fuck Fuck a pot in the kitchen, better a yacht in the distance. Fuck all you politicians killing on wishes and got our dreams on your team hit list. I'm Martin King, I got a dream, I can see visions, and they so vivid that if I projected my thoughts, there'd be protesters and marches. We could abolish all this hate in a minute. I wanna, man, what is pride with no honor? I wonder what really makes you feel alive is each other and hunger. Misery loves to be accompanied by how you suffer. Don't give them nothing, remember to keep your head up. They profit off being false prophets. You're the epiphany, don't let them put you off topic. We're the epitome of beautiful symphonies, the roots of the biggest tree, products of chemistry, passion and two energies. We're all amazing and I hope you know it. There's really magic in this world and not the hocus pocus. I see an angel when I look in my mama's eyes, and even though I don't really know what the Holy Ghost is, I feel its closeness. We should coexist in a world where the focus is to be positive on the pros, not emotionless. To see a light and let it glow just as bright as it can. Metamorphosis and then change through the course of it. Man, why that be marvelous? I wonder, who am I?
And that's Who Am I by John Fall. And yeah, it looks like the comment section definitely was fucking with that one. As a group, we were all fucking with that one. So sounding like a good fit for top 3 at the very least. What stood out about this one to you guys?
So this one was like easily, like I loved them all, but this one was easily my favorite. As I was saying before, this was the one I was talking about that reminds me of Common. The wordplay is insane. He's using a lot more complex rhyme schemes than we heard from a lot of the other entries. I think it was definitely the best wordplay we had, and the emotion put into it, the realness and the message of the song. It was just all really great. The mix was good. I have nothing to critique. It was definitely, I brought out the most emotion for me of any of the other songs that I heard.
Yeah, and this one for me was crazy because we played a John Fall track probably 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, and so when we got this total change of pace, because that track was super like heavy, and that was a really dope track too. But when we got something just way different here, I'm still really new to John Fall, so for this, like, I was like, damn.
Son,
yeah,
what the fuck did we just listen to? Like, I don't think niggas understand. For the sake of like that's some shit that your favorite rapper would appreciate. Any artist in the game that appreciates a pen or appreciates the difficulty it is to really captivate your message in a song, anybody would appreciate that. I'm sure you would get love from any legend if they heard that track. You feel me? And granted, I don't want to make that sound OD. I'm not giving that some wild praise. But however, this nigga's wordplay, the complexity of his flow, the rhyme schemes he had, as Sheridan said, I think it was head and shoulders above almost everybody. And just in terms of rap, not just the song. A lot of people rap their asses off, but this is like comparing. That
was poetry, bro. That was poetry.
Exactly. I'm gonna stop using names because I think a lot of people take offense to being compared to a specific artist.
Well, and so I'm not gonna lie, it makes sense because it's an easy way to compare them. But almost every time that we compare someone, I almost have to end it with like, yeah, it sounds like this person, but at the same time, it's their own version of this person. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Bro, and I'm gonna be honest. This is a hip hop channel. You feel me? Upstate Aesthetic was founded on local rap and upstate hip hop. So I can't say that if anybody is watching, I don't know how they could disagree that was the #1 rap song that was played tonight. I think a lot of people get lost in that rapidy rap type shit. But this man managed top-notch lyricism combined with a classic flow, sounding, the vibe was there, the flow was there, you captivated the whole time. And he like Sheridan said, it was honestly emotional. You could feel what he was saying, it touched you. And not to say that other songs didn't, but this was a standout song in terms of lyricism, an emotional connection for me.
Thanks.
Yeah, this one, it seems like at this point it might be easy enough to at least say we've got a number one based upon the comments, based upon all of our feelings. Would it be easy to start with a number one and move our way down? Should we start with a number
Yeah,
three?
I think we should start with a number one.
Start
I
with
think
the.
I think that's
It's
number one.
definitely
I don't think it's a question.
untraditional, but I mean, it
I'm,
seems
co-
like
I'm comfortable with number one, but I also want to give the crowd a little bit more time to uh, just give their opinion. I know a couple people said number one, but I think that we should go top three, the ones that solidified it, and then rank them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Okay.
yeah. The ones that we're
Yeah.
putting in our top three, no
I like
order,
that.
and
Yeah,
then give them a
and,
number. Yeah.
and rank them.
So that one's that's the first one we have in our top three.
That's a lock in the top three. So let's start with you, Andrew, because this is your show, your channel, bro. If you had to name somebody besides John Fall that's in your top three, who would it be?
Um, I would say Richie. We played his song real early, so I think it's given a lot of people time to sort of forget about that one. I was really messing with it. I really liked it. It's one of the first ones we heard, so it's also kind of given me just in general time to hear other stuff, and it's almost like a recency bias type of thing. But I really mess with that track, so it would have to be one of my top three. I feel like. I could be convinced otherwise, though. I'm not gonna lie, because there's about five that I feel
Richie's
like
in
deserve
mine
it.
too.
I think
Richie's in my top three too.
Richie was in all of our top fives. Richie's song was not in my top three. I'm not gonna lie. It was in my top five, but it was number five. I really liked it. It was the rap song that was the closest to John Falls, if you know what I mean. But in terms of a rap song in general, if I was being honest, I like Don Pablo's "Still Educated" more than I like Richie's. I really like that song. So I'm not sure where you guys put that. I would be more
I had
than
that at 7.
I would give Richie's song top three, because I had him in my top five, and you guys both have him in your top three. So I think that makes sense as the next lock for top three.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd say we might have to leave it open just because like I said, it's tough.
Leave it open.
We have a
leave it
couple
open
more.
for now. Leave it open for now.
We got to talk about Don Pablo. I would say we have to talk about Corey, and honestly, for me, another one that I want to table, but I understand because it's tough against these other hip hop tracks. But that Zay Smalls track, Downtime, not just because he's in the comments either, because I really fuck with the R&B like type sound that it's hard for me to not push it at least.
Yeah. This is my personal top five. John Fall, and no order. I just want to specify no order. John Fall, MBK Richie, Zay Smalls, fucking Corey Alexander, and Don Pablo.
Yeah.
All right, mine is John Fall, Corey Alexander, PS and Process, Richie and Process again on Weirdos.
God damn. Good. Shout out to fucking Process, bro. That's
Right. My top 10 before we started the episode was MBK Richie, Don Pablo, Zay Smalls, Corey Alexander, and then Jake Daniels at 5. But I the John Fall track, like, first of all, I listened to it dumb late at night. Second of all, I struggle with like I don't know exactly what like a great mix is, but I think that the production on that track, well, it was probably intended to be simple, but it still felt a little like there could have been something better to have elevated that song. But I very well could be like, if you guys were to tell me I'm totally off it, then I would be like, okay. Because I like, that's one thing that I'm using Upstate Aesthetic to try and gauge and understand is like what people consider a good mix and what isn't. I'm not saying that it was an awful mix either. I just think that it could have helped that track.
What track were you talking about?
John Fall.
Oh, I think John Fall's track was very well mixed.
Yeah, I do too.
I as far as hip hop goes, You gotta measure raw vocals, you gotta measure ad libs, and you gotta measure dubs. You gotta make sure that it's as clear as possible, as loud as possible without clipping. There's no effects on that shit. You feel me? It's just like you
Yeah,
saw.
he's just doing it.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
like my point, I guess, was that it was just, and I put it in my notes that it was intended, but it was really simple. But
Yeah.
it was
Um,
intended for the track. So
yo, I'm not gonna lie. It looks like Don Pablo's third. Check the
yeah,
comment.
it's a very good point. Don Pablo's track absolutely stood out as well, and the dude, it was we knew it when we played it, and we knew it like when we heard it the first time too. Like it was I think it was within all of our top 5-ish. Maybe not shared and not
It
shared,
was
and
a,
you had it 7, right?
it was my seventh, but in terms of like hip hop tracks, it was my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, nah, bro, that shit was hard. You know, it wasn't the most complex out of the rap songs or even some of the other genre songs that we got, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just about how a song hits. If
It was
I
my third. It was my in terms of rap songs, it was my third. So
if I were to go back and choose these 40 songs and rank them in how what I would listen to, Don Pablo's would be my third. Like he would be in my top 3. So if you guys are taking crowd, it depends on how seriously you're considering crowd engagement.
no, I think we should seriously consider crowd engagement. I feel like
No,
Don
I'm
Pablo's a lot.
not talking about seriously. I'm just saying if we're going by crowd engagement, the last 10 comments say Don Pablo.
Yeah,
And
that's not. I agree. I'm
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
I'm
yeah,
not
the
arguing with them at all. So yeah,
one of okay, the last 10 are Don Pablo, except one of them says Zay Smalls or Don Pablo. So I wanted Zay Smalls definitely had a top 5 track. It could easily be in the top 3 in general. I would not be mad at that at all. The top 5 tracks all have a case for top 3. I just think if Don Pablo is getting the most support in the comment section,
Yeah,
um,
no, I agree.
we,
yeah.
we might want to crown that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we said we'd need
I-
help from the comments, and they definitely came through with that one in quick order too. They let us know
Absolutely.
about
Shout
Pablo.
out shout out to AJ because he brought up Isaac Daniels. Isaac Daniels' track was one of my favorite songs that we got in general. And it probably would have been higher and maybe a finalist if the mix was a little bit better. The song in general was super fire.
Facts.
It was one of my favorite rap songs that we got, no doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I think I'm down to say that's our top 3: Pablo, Richie, and John Fall. Yeah.
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 What would just for the sake of because we're here, who would you have put fourth and fifth?
Me personally, 4 would have been Zay Small. 5th would have been Corey Alexander, probably.
Okay. I think I gotta agree with you. It would be and you can toss Jake's track in there if you wanted to.
He
But
was
I
my 6th.
I think that Corey and Zay's song was more personal. I related to it more. But just from a song structure, uh, Jake's song competed with anybody's.
I would have had because I had I had Weirdos at 2, and I had Call Me with PS at 4. So that would have been my next 2.
Yo, like I don't think Corey is necessarily number 2, but I do like Corey's song better than MBK Richie's song. Um,
I had him at 5.
MBK Richie or Corey?
Corey, I had Richie at 2. Or no,
Okay.
I had Richie at 3. I had Richie at 3.
Well, I think we locked MBK Richie in because he was in all of our top 5s.
Yeah.
And most of that was top 3s. I'm just going on the record to say I agree with you, Jake. For the most part, I like Corey's song just slightly better than I like MBK Richie's.
So how are we going to rank it, though? We got to figure out who's 1, 2, and 3.
John Falls,
I think John Falls.
Yeah,
1.
John Falls 1.
MBK Richie is number 2, and then Don Pablo was the crowd favorite with number 3.
Bet. Works for me.
Well, and Zay, like There was a couple votes for Corey. There was a couple votes for Zay Smalls. But overall, the comment section definitely went to Don Pablo.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like that's exactly what we needed. We needed the comments to help us out because it was kind of a difficult process. We first of all, we busted through all these tracks in a very short order, coming up with short reviews for each one of them, and then trying to lay out which ones we thought were our favorite and which ones weren't. And it's funny because by the time we got to this part of the episode, like tracks like John Falls were standing out to me more. Corey's was actually standing out a little more. So with time, this could have changed too. But it's a very solid top three. I think it would be very hard for people to dispute these top three for sure.
Absolutely. Like Corey's was in my top 8, like not even in my top 5 the first time I heard it. But especially when we just listened to it right now, I coincided with all the other songs. I really liked it. There was a couple that stood out listening to them now more than they did when I listened to them by myself. So it was really good to give them a second chance, or even some for like a third or fourth time, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. But we definitely went through this process pretty detailed. We went through it to try and make sure we got a good top 3. We hope that everyone watching is satisfied with our top 3 because this was actually a really fun episode. We had so much engagement. We had so many people send in tracks. So all of that stuff was really dope. And then the comments throughout, everybody sticking with us, helping us choose who's in the top 3. That's always appreciated. So yeah, this was a really dope episode. I think we've wrapped basically everything up. You guys still have to plug what you got to plug, though. Sheridan, you got anything lined up?
Not at the moment. I just got home, so I'd get my setup done tomorrow. I'm gonna start recording more music and hopefully get a couple songs into the system this weekend and get you guys some pre-save links. I can't really say much about them, but that's all I'll say. By the way, this has nothing to do with me, but the new Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist album is fire.
We'll talk about that next week on the Cypher because that definitely deserves some love. Is that the end of your shout-outs, bro?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And while you're here, let's definitely do some work. You feel me?
That's a fact.
Definitely got to link up on some sort.
Yeah.
You know, if you've been following social media or something, you know that I dropped K Michelle tonight. That was my 3rd track of spring cleaning. So if you have Spotify, if you have Apple Music, you don't even gotta listen to it tonight. Just save it to your library and come back to it if you don't got the time. But just make sure you get to it. It's a different vibe than what I put out so far. We got Simple and Plain, we got Goof Troop, we got K Michelle, and I'ma just keep them coming. You feel me? I got my studio set up today, my home studio. So after this gets out, I'm either going to play some Xbox or record some songs. We'll see how that goes. I want to shout out you guys for tuning in. I want to shout out the artists for submitting the songs because this was genuinely a beautiful thing to do. I'm very happy that we're doing this for the scene. I think it's something that provides the platform for a lot of different artists. And when you add some competition, when you add some cash to it, it brings a whole different element. So I'm very glad that we did this, and I'm happy that I'm doing it with you guys because I couldn't picture talking to anybody else right now.
Yeah, and like I said, I appreciate, or like you said, I appreciate everybody tuning in and sticking with us. This was easily our longest episode, but we've had the most engagement. It's been great. We plan on doing, well, I plan on doing, but we plan on doing this again in the next couple months. Like I said, probably early August is when it would line up because we're going to do it probably every 10 episodes or so because it's doing great for us. It's doing great for the community. Obviously, bunches of people got to hear different artists they've never heard of before, really quality music throughout the night. So I always appreciate everybody tuning into that. Always appreciate the support for Upstate Aesthetic. As Ant mentioned earlier, if for some reason you're tuned into this and you're not already following Upstate Aesthetic or like us on Facebook, make sure you do that at some point. We always have all kinds of news. And make sure you stick with all the other resources in the area. This is Upstate, 607, Sound. Like there's a bunch of other resources that continue to promote the artists in the area, and we should continue to support all of them and all these artists. So thanks again for everyone tuning in. We are going to go ahead and actually play K Michelle by Ant. So if you thought you weren't going to hear it tonight, you actually are. Here you go.
Psych, like,
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Like,
Fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Fuck it while I'm here, fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell. Tell that bitch to back up, K Michelle. I don't think that she gon' take it well. Couple thousand that I made in sales. Remember when I stayed up in the hell? Broke as shit, the money made it hell. Ballin' on the hater, can't you tell? Pussy nigga probably break a nail. Fuck all what they say, it's AK, bitches east side, told them it's okay, on delay, nigga we slide, I was with the gang, just today, homie we fine, fuck it, he don't want the smoke, throwing peace signs, fuck it while I'm here, I'm raising hell, tell that bitch to back up, K Michelle, I don't think that she gon' take it well, I don't think that she gon' take it well, you don't wanna help, go fuck yourself, yeah that's right, champion belt on the shelf, yeah that's right, ain't sold his soul for the wealth, what a price, if I'm feeling down, I hate cows, we a family nigga, I been at my dad's tryna help, I'm a family nigga, how you gon' fend for yourself, I'm my pantry nigga, I don't got a Jag in a lot, or a Camry nigga, learn to make moves by yourself when you abandoned nigga, I been sipping liquor, guarantee I got a damaged liver, take your picture, no coincidence, I swear to cannon nigga, diamonds on your chain when they be hitting, you be